in the studio.
Awesome. Welcome, everybody, to Modern Day Debate. Tonight we're going to be debating Flat Earth versus Globe. And to get us started, Ross, you have 10 minutes on the floor. They're all yours. And welcome, everybody.
All right, if I could just set a timer really quick, if you don't mind,
Yeah,
because
I got one for you here, too.
oh, you got one for me, okay?
Yeah.
Or what? If you could just tell me when I'm at 2 minutes, that'll be great.
2 minutes? All right, you got it.
I just want to make sure my audio is working.
Yeah,
All right,
you are coming in a little low, so if you want to bring it up,
all right. Just let me know if I'm good. I'm good.
you're good.
All right, all right. So, hello everybody. Unlike my last debate, this debate is purely about science. So I'm going to go ahead and get right to the experiments, if you don't mind. Can I show my screen?
Yeah,
All
sure
right,
can.
I'm going to share screen. Awesome. Everybody can see that.
Yep, we have that on our screen now.
All right. So on my last debate, I got a lot of complaints that I didn't have any points or whatever. Although I did, I wanted to make sure that that is not a complaint this time. So I wanted to quickly outline what my points are. And I'm going to specify which points can be proven scientifically, which points cannot be proven scientifically. And at the end of the day, it's just our philosophical speculations. And then we can go from there. So my first main point is the earth is not moving. All right. So you know what? Let me just go on and get right to the experiments. So evidence number one. Now, for the purpose of this conversation, because sometimes the people who watch this channel, they get confused on what the scientific method actually is. So I just want to keep the scientific method as clean, as simple as possible. Observations and experiments. If we're not talking about something that we've observed, or if we're not talking about experiments that we've done, then we're actually not talking about scientific. We're not talking about the scientific method at all. We're talking about philosophy. And while philosophy is great, I consider myself to be somewhat of a philosopher. This is a scientific debate, so I want to just, especially if we're talking about things that can be proven scientifically, let's just focus on what the experiments tell us. Let's just focus on what the observations tell us. Okay, so I have two experiments that basically prove that the Earth is not moving. The first one, obviously, is Michelson and Morley, but I'm going to do that one second because I think everybody does that one, right? So let's talk about Aries failure. This is the second one. I don't know if I want to play this whole video, but the gist of the video, right? I don't like this guy's voice. Oh, basically, what you okay? So
You're at 2 minutes.
okay, 2 minutes left.
No, oh, sorry. You've been talking for 2 minutes. I thought you meant 2 minutes in. All right, sorry.
Okay, so
Carry
so
on.
this is Aries failure right here. This is an experiment that you can do at home that proves that the Earth is not moving. All right. So just to be clear, right? If you want to assert that the Earth is moving, you have to provide experiments that go against this, and then we can maybe have a discussion. But if you don't have experiments, let alone observations, then this is already a cooked turkey. You know what I mean? This is literally all of scientific consensus actually agrees on this. That based upon all observation and experiment, the Earth is not moving. I want to say that one more time so people don't get confused. All of scientific consensus agrees that based on all observation and experiment, the Earth is not moving. If you're asserting that it is moving, it's not based on any experiment that we have done terrestrially, and we can't leave the Earth, so it's not based on any experiment we've done anywhere else either. All right. So this is the experiment. I'm going to break it down really quickly. This is something you can do at home. So this is not like, oh, it's too complicated for us to understand, so we have to appeal to authority and believe in what the scientists say. If you take a telescope, right, and you're looking at a light that's directly above the telescope, if neither the light or the telescope is moving, then you don't have to shift the telescope to receive the light. Okay. If one of them is moving, then you'll have to put it at a slight tilt to receive the light directly on the telescope. All right. So this is the truth. If you go outside, you look at stars, you have to tilt the telescope slightly to get the star right in the pocket. And that's because either the telescope is moving or the sky is moving. Now, all observation would tell us that the sky is moving, but that's not enough, right? If we're going to make a scientific inquiry, we should have some experiment to go with that. All right. So Ari ran this experiment to see which one is it. The way that he devised to be able to tell the difference is he put water in his telescope, right? Very genius idea. That means that because the water will slow down the light, if the Earth is actually moving, when the water hits the light, the Earth will still be moving. And so you'll need to tilt the telescope about 5 degrees more to match the new angle because the Earth is still moving. All right. If the Earth isn't moving and the sky is moving and the lights are just coming off at a 5 degree tilt, then even when you put water in the telescope, right? You won't need to tilt it anymore because it'll still be the same angle coming off because the Earth is stationary. You understand? So this experiment has been done many times. That was the original document that they just showed. That's the original document from the experiment right there. I also have that down here somewhere right there. This is the original document from that experiment. So this goes along with the Michelson and Morley experiments, which I don't think I need to beat into the ground anymore. You guys have seen that experiment done on here multiple times. The whole theory of relativity was made to combat the results of the Michelson and Morley experiments and Nicholson, Gale, Pearson. That's right. These experiments have been done over and over and over. The result is the Earth is not moving. So unless you're going to provide some evidence that proves that the Earth is moving, that is a cooked turkey already. All right. That's my first point. All right. The Earth is not moving based on all observation and experiment. Number two, the Earth is the center of the cosmos. Okay. This cannot be proven scientifically. All right. I want you guys to understand this. This cannot be proven scientifically. We cannot do experiments that prove that the Earth is the center of the cosmos. So all we have to rely on is our observations. All right. So I'm gonna try to speed through these because. So look, this is Lawrence Krauss, right? The head atheist himself, one of my favorite people to listen to. This is him admitting that because of the CMB, right? Because of the flatness problem and the Hubble tension. All right. I have a video on this of a professor of physics from the University College of London explaining how, based upon what we think we know about physics, we really don't know anything. I want to keep it as simple as possible. The bottom line is scientifically, we don't really know right now. So we have to go based upon what the observations tell us, and it tells us that we're in the center. Okay. So this is another description of the Michelson and Morley. This is okay. This is the from the CMB came from the Planck probe, right? So these are the comments on it. This is Edwin Hubble himself, right? Quote, if the redshifts are a Doppler shift, which they always are, the observations as they stand lead to the anomaly of a closed universe, curiously small and dense, and it may be added suspiciously young. This is Edwin Hubble himself, right? Letting you know that based on all observation, the Earth is in the center of the universe. All right. So if you have some observations that tell us something different, I know you don't have experiments because we cannot experiment on the Earth and its position to the whole cosmos. All right. So my third point is that the surface is not curved. All right. At least the surface that we live on. All right. Now you can make, let's see. All right. So you can make a case. Like this is my problem with the people who go against flat Earth, right? If you just deal with the scientific evidence, then you can actually make a good case for the globe. But the minute you start denying what the scientific method is telling us, then you start looking crazy. You know, you start making the flat earthers look like they're geniuses, and they're really not. Like, I'm not a genius. I'm just a guy that reads a lot, and so even before I heard about flat Earth, I thought it was dumb. But once they started telling me what it was, I'm like, oh, this is the stuff that I already believe in because I listened to Lawrence Krauss. Lawrence Krauss has said all of this already. They're just interpreting it different. All right. So you guys have already seen this. All right. When you bounce radio waves, right? Allegedly, right? When you send out radio waves, right? They can bounce off the ionosphere up to 30 or 40 megahertz. All right. So this is their excuse. When we do experiment and observation to see how far the Earth is, how far can we send radio waves, right? We can send it infinitely far. Their excuse is that it bounces off the ionosphere. That's their excuse. Okay, but the ionosphere only stops radio waves from 30 to 40 megahertz. All right. So right here is a list of not every, but a good list of all the experiments that have been done using radio waves, right? And I don't even buy the ionosphere reason, but sure, let's give you that anyways, right? Okay, fine. Up to 30 and 40 megahertz, they can bounce off the ionosphere. Here are the megahertz on the left, right? Here's the city that they're in, right? Right here on the right. As you go, it lets you know the person that did it, what city they sent it from, what city they caught it. Do you understand? Their excuse is that up to 30 megahertz, it bounced off the ionosphere. Okay, well, this is 90 megahertz. This is 90, right? Let's go higher. You see this? These are all the experiments that have been done that prove that, as a matter of fact, if you look at this data, you only have two options. Either the Earth is flat, either we're living on a flat plane, right? Or the Earth is so big, right, that it could still be a globe, but the only thing you could do to combat this evidence is that the Earth is so big. Go ahead.
1 minute left.
Okay. The only thing you can do to combat this evidence is that the Earth is so big, right, that we just can't tell. All right. So these experiments have been done that many times, and they've been done by the military. All right. I want to hurry up because I only have 1 minute left. Okay, point number 4, everything is dielectric. All right, everything. What you think gravity is, you, me, the sun, everything. All right, the sun is not fire, it's dielectricity. It's electricity, if we're being 100% honest. And all the proof of that, right, is right here. Since I know you guys worship paper, I know you guys worship. I bet Einstein could come back in a time machine, shake you in the hand, you could see it, and you would ask him for a peer review paper. So here are all the peer review papers that prove through experimentation. I took a picture of a few of them because you can't click on the links because you need subscriptions to look at these peer review papers. All right. These are all the peer review papers proving that everything is dielectricity. All right. What you think gravity is
Five
just
seconds.
electromagnetism acting upon each other. All right. My bad. Last thing I want to say, all right, just because I know everybody's thinking this. I know this is where everybody, even though you really shouldn't be thinking about this because it's a scientific debate, but I know your mind's going to go here. Well, why? Right? Why are they doing this? Why are they look? Listen. The reason why people lie is because they're liars, okay? Because they get benefit from it, all right? So, we really shouldn't be talking about that. I know you're going to ask me that at some point, you know what I mean? So I wanted to end it right there, but if we could, let's just focus on the observations. Let's focus on the scientific experiment, and let's really find out what's going on here. You feel me? And not, anyways, that's it.
All right, let's end the screen share, and thank you so much, Ross, for your introductory statement there. So just want to remind everybody hanging out in the live chat, we are going to be doing a Q&A at the end of this discussion. Once again, welcome to Modern Day Debate. If you haven't already, to hit the like button. We are a neutral debate platform. We're hosting debates on science, politics, and religion. See all you guys hanging out in the live chat, and hope you feel welcome. Leo, you got 10 minutes on the floor. Welcome, and you want to take yourself off mute there.
Yeah, so these debates to me, and I always preface with this, I don't do these debates because I take the flat earth seriously. I do enjoy the back and forth in the discussions, but I do them because I find them fun and I find them entertaining. And I would suspect that's probably why most people are here watching, regardless of which side they find themselves on. They're convinced of their side and they're just here for the entertainment. When it comes to the shape of the Earth, it's a globe. This has been known for at least 3,500 years. We see different stars in the sky versus the northern and the southern hemisphere. That's one of the first things that should tell you, we're not flat. I believe that it also looks like the sky rotates in different directions versus the northern hemisphere versus the southern hemisphere because of the way that you would be positioned on the Earth as it rotates, which is an indication that the Earth is in fact rotating. We can even look at gravity. Gravity is the reason that things like planets and stars are spheres in the first place. It's something called hydrostatic equilibrium. So naturally, gravity pulls inward from every point on the surface of an object, and the internal pressure of the material which constitutes that object sort of pushes back. And what this results in is an equilibrium between the force of gravity and the internal pressure of the material. And this results in spheroidal objects in space. This is why even objects like our moon are spheroidal, and smaller asteroid bodies are spheroidal. This has to do with gravity. So this wouldn't explain why just the Earth would be a sphere. It explains why all planets, and we have seen planets in other solar systems, hint they're spheroidal, but also why objects like stars and neutron stars and things like that would be spheres as well. So when it comes to the science, one of the most fundamental theories of physics that we currently have with respect to understanding things at the cosmological level pretty much, I would say, puts the nail in the coffin in the debate. Planetary bodies are spheroidal. But again, simple observations like seeing different stars in the hemisphere, seeing objects disappear bottom first over the horizon. They don't just get smaller, they disappear bottom first. These simple intuitive things easily lead one who's just, not trying to be biased or contrarian and just using reason to think that, wow, the Earth has some sort of curvature to it. And quite frankly, I think that's honestly enough. We don't really need more to kind of intuit or figure out that the Earth is curved. The Earth is a sphere. Not only that, but we've taken pictures of it because we have been to space, because we're humans. We've done great things. We've made great strides, and we can see that the Earth is in fact a sphere, which, well, effectively confirms the shape of the Earth. And again, I really think that's about where the honest debate ends, and this is where a lot of the fun begins.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your introductory statement there, Leo. We are going to kick it into an open discussion. So if you haven't already, hit the like button. Share this out in those spaces you'd like to have these discussions as well. And also, hey, if you're a big podcast listener, we do have all of these podcasts, all these debates, I should say, uploaded to our podcast within 24 hours. So if you like what you're hearing from either of our speakers, they'll also be tagged in our podcast link along with our YouTube link, so you can find more there. I'm going to hand it over to you, Ross, to respond to some of what you just heard, and we'll get into the open discussion. Thanks, everybody, again for being here.
Yes. You guys can hear me okay?
Excellent.
All right, Leo, if I may, one of the things that we have to really be aware of when we're trying to figure out what's going on, right, is whether or not we're being logical. And maybe that doesn't matter to you because, like you said, you're just here for entertainment, right? And I get that, right? These things are somewhat entertaining, right? But I'm not going to lie, especially with these kind of conversations, I'm part of a small group of people that honestly wants to figure out what's really going on, right? And so when we have debates about stuff, right, we always have to make sure that our arguments are logical, right? Because if they're not logical, then they're not valid. All right. You have to have logical arguments or else your argument really isn't valid at all. You're just using words. All right. So this is where fallacies come in. I know you guys hate those words here, right? But literally when I went to school in 2010, the very first classes they had me take were linguistics classes and logic 101. So that way we could learn how to make logical arguments that were also sound, right? And then not only that, we could learn how to use words properly. So I think that those two things are very, very key when we're having debates. And I just want to let you know that your whole opening was just completely fallacious. You just appealed to consensus, right? Everybody knows this, right? And think about it. When I started, I immediately said, you know what? Let's get right to the experiments. Let's get right to the observations because this is a scientific debate. This is not about philosophy. If you want to debate philosophy, I could debate philosophy with you, but we're going to have to transition out of that and you're going to have to concede to all the scientific points that I made. So if you want to concede to all the scientific points that I made, that all the observations and experiments show what I said, and then we can go on to the philosophy of what might be going on because of what other people think, then that's fine. You also said gravity. Like I said, gravity has already been proven to be electrostatics. I pulled up a whole list of articles that prove that there is no such thing as what we call quote unquote gravity. And they discovered this in the 50s when they looked at the galaxy clusters and realized that there was not enough gravity to keep the galaxies from escaping. You understand? So that's when they actually had to change gravity. My bad. Go ahead.
Feel free to jump in anytime there, Leo.
Yeah, I'm my bad. I just want and then like you know, you assume asteroids, like all of these, like you look at stuff in the stars, right? And you say, look, we can tell by looking at it, right? I can look at it and see that that everything is spheroidal. All right, fine, but let's use your reasoning. If I look in the stars and everything is a sphere, so I must assume the Earth is a sphere. If we're going by observation, right? What I see is I see everything in the stars move, but I don't see the Earth move. So when do we trust our eyes? Do we trust our eyes when we look far away, or do we trust them when we look close? Which one is it? Because you want us to trust that what we see in the eye is what we see in the sky is true, but you don't want us to trust that the Earth is not moving when all experiments shows that it's not moving.
I guess I'll start with the fact that I didn't appeal to a consensus in my opening statement, but something that you brought up that I want to point out, because this is often this is never completed, is people who refer to whatever his name was, George Airy or whatever it was, then the Michelson-Morley experiment that these men showed that the Earth is not moving.
Yes.
That's only half of the statement. What these experiments show is that the Earth is not moving through an ether.
That's not true.
That's what these experiments were designed to do. Airy's experiment, he put water in it to see if there was a difference in stellar aberration as a result of the refraction of water, which is something that would happen if there were an ether, and he did not detect that. And the same with the Michelson-Morley experiment.
My bad.
They went to figure out, okay, if there's an ether and the Earth is moving, the Earth will be moving through that ether. And so we can detect a drag on the Earth from the ether as a result of the Earth's motion through it. And the Michelson-Morley detected no such drag. Now, this does not mean that the Earth is not moving simpliciter. It means that the Earth is not moving through the ether. And I'll just start with that one point.
Can you hear me?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, so that's a misrepresentation, because what is true is that it was a scientific consensus back then that there was an ether, and let's be honest, it's scientific consensus now that there is an ether. And I hear you guys say this all the time, that so many of the things that we do today depend on the earth being a globe. No, 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 no. The only thing that what our way of life depends on is the fact that there is an ether. Nikola Tesla literally said, I had to assume that there was an ether and that it acted like this in order to invent all of our modern inventions that we have today. They all depend on the fact that there was an ether. So that's why the experiment was called that, to detect the motion of the earth through the ether. So what they did was, instead of going with the result of the experiment, which was the earth isn't moving, they decided to throw all of known science out and completely change the laws of physics. And this is not scientific, because they didn't do that based on an experiment. They didn't run an experiment that showed that there wasn't an ether. They ran an experiment that showed that the earth wasn't moving through it. So that's the answer to that. Don't misrepresent it by saying they discovered that there wasn't an ether, because no. There is an ether. They never, and even Einstein himself said that he never should have, in general relativity, in special relativity, he never should have claimed that there wasn't an ether. He should have claimed that there was an ether, but that there was no resistance, basically, and that's why we couldn't detect ourselves moving through it.
All right, what I'm going to do there is I'm going to set a 1.5-minute timer. I'll just let you know when you got 10 seconds. Go ahead there, Leo.
So there is no ether. No physicist today thinks that there's an ether, at least not when actually doing anything in experimental physics. We've disproved the ether. And the reason that it would have been a consensus over 100 years ago that there was an ether was because at the time, physicists didn't know that there were such things as non-mechanical waves, where mechanical waves would be things like acoustic waves through the atmosphere, or seismic waves through the earth, or water waves through the ocean. These are mechanical waves. And if light is a wave, well, then it must too have some sort of mechanical medium that carries that. And then we discovered quantum mechanics, and we realized, well, no, we don't need to have strictly and only mechanical waves. There are such things as non-mechanical waves, and light is one of them. So it doesn't move through any medium like an ether at all. And that is why physicists first assumed there was an ether, and then later abandoned the notion on top of the experiments that showed that there was no ether. There is the electromagnetic field, but that's not an ether. That doesn't have the same properties that the ether was claimed to have.
Okay, so all right, so how do you know any of that? All right, because everything that I said, I start off by showing observations and experiments that I pulled that from. You pulled that sounded great, but where did you pull that from? Because you said no physicist admits it. Like, that's a complete lie. I literally have over 100 quotes right here of physicists saying things related to that, and a few of them are physicists saying it directly that there is an ether. So that's a lie. I'm not sure if you're just uninformed on the subject, or if you're intentionally trying to misrepresent yourself, so that way other people think that globe people don't know what they're talking about. I'm not sure if that's your goal here, but this is like, you're not informed on what the modern scientific consensus is, if you think that's true. My bad.
Physicists don't work with the ether.
Real quick, you said that we disproved the ether, then we discovered mechanical waves. I want to know how
we already knew about mechanical waves. That's why physicists.
How did we know?
How did we know about mechanical waves? Because
yes, sir.
That's how we hear. What? The acoustic waves that move through Earth's atmosphere are mechanical waves. We can see mechanical waves on a pond when we
ask me how.
I'm explaining how. If you wanted to see mechanical waves, you could go to a pond, throw a rock in the pond, and the waves that will be made are mechanical waves on that pond. And that's what mechanical waves are.
And you're saying
you don't know what mechanical waves are, but you're claiming I don't understand the physics? I'm done.
I know you. Hey, look, yeah, you know me. I know myself. I'm a lot, but I just I get what you're saying, right? But this is my problem, right? Is that you have bought in, right, to a one big appeal to authority. You're like, yeah, somebody told me this, right? You're just, and I don't want to get into my last debate because it's going to sound redundant, but you guys are religious zealots, right? You're just like my dad, right? You believe stuff because you saw it in a piece of paper, right? You worship paper, right? And I get that. That's fine that you want to do that, right? You can be a philosopher that believes in paper.
Didn't you say you read?
Of course I read, yes, but I don't believe.
So, but when I read, it's wrong, and I'm worshiping, and okay, so there's a double standard there. Gotcha.
And I can see that confusion, but it's not right, because I don't believe stuff just because I saw it on the paper, right? Even the stuff that I showed today is actually not the evidence. I'm just showing you where to find the evidence. The evidence is real life experimentation and observation. Right. So another paper, right? So I look at that. I respect it, right? Look, you were taught that your whole life, right? And so that's what you believe in, right? And it's difficult to accept that maybe I was believing in somebody that either didn't know what they were talking about or they blatantly lied to me. But this is what you got to know, right? Like I said, I did my degree in political science. Everything that comes from the government is a lie. Every time that the government is involved in something, listen. I literally call my degree the history of lying. That's all political science is. Of lying. You feel me? That's all government does. So anything that comes from public schools or whatever, it's designed to lead you down a path of untruth. That's just the reality. And guess what? And there's proof of this. Like think about it. If somebody lies one time, how many times do they have to lie for you to be like, oh, this guy's a liar, right? Like if you, I don't know if you have a girlfriend, but how many times does your girl have to lie to you before you like, she's a liar, right? Sorry.
No, it's all good. Sometimes we go over time. There's nothing wrong with that. We're all good here. But in all gentleness, I'm not here to debate the government or liars. So, and I don't just like read a book and then everything the book says must be true. Humans have done the experiments time and again, and I know that they've done those experiments, and I can read the results of these experiments and then tie that with my understanding of the field for a broad picture of how the physical world works and the methods that we use for figuring all of that out. And I do trust it, and I don't think that there's a reason not to, particularly when the reason that we have the technological advancements we do is because of the physicists and the chemists and the biologists and the computer engineers and all of these people who rely on all of this mathematics and all of this physics that you're claiming is wrong every day for our technology to function properly. So, I mean, I don't either want to get bogged down into a discussion about appeals to consensus and a you worship paper. So I think that if we both just take each other in good faith and in, you know, with this idea that we're getting our information from decent sources and from reliable places, I think the discussion will probably move forward more easily.
Right. Well, so and my concern is not thinking that you're not arguing in good faith, right? But my concern is logical fallacies. Right? Because if we don't do that, then we can't establish a train of thought that leads to progress, right? Think about it. Like if a scientist does the greatest scientific experiments ever and nobody sees it, what good is it for the world? You know what I mean? There's no good in these scientific discussions if we can't gain or learn something from it, right? So that's where logic comes in. We have to make sure that if we're saying something, right, that there's actually basis behind it. So you said the words experiments, right? You said, I know that these people can do the experiments. I know the experiments have been done, but you have to show those experiments. That's why I started off right away. These are the experiments that have been done. This is how you can do it, right? And guess what? If we don't have experiments, then we have to rely on observation, and we have to admit that we can't solve something scientifically if we can't do an experiment on it, right? Then you use the word trust specifically. See, there's no trust in science. You're not supposed to trust or believe anything. You're not supposed to have preconceived notions when you go into an experiment. You're or especially not an observation. If we're observing like the CMB, right? When they observed the CMB, right, they called it the axis of evil because it didn't fit with their preconceived notion. That's not scientific. You're not supposed to be, you know what I mean, prejudice about what the outcome you want is to be. You're supposed to look at the data and then go with that. And then, okay, last thing, you said our technology and our math depends on the seconds. I'm saying it's real. It's not that it's not real. It's just that you have a misunderstanding of it. All right, Nikola Tesla is the one that invented all the technology that we have today in a nutshell, and he did that using an ether. Period. He did that using an ether. So you're disagreeing with physics. You're disagreeing with the math that works, that gives us our technological advances. If you say there's not an ether and everything's not electric, that's just a fact.
Up to 2 minutes. Floor is yours.
So, Nikola, I mean, you hear this a lot. I don't know why he's such a big figure within the flat Earth community, but you hear it a lot that, well, Nikola Tesla effectively invented all of our modern technology. No, he didn't. Claude Shannon was the one that developed the theory of computation. Nikola Tesla had nothing to do with that. And there's a variety of experiments that I could go down the line that he had nothing to do with. Now, he makes some cool stuff. Yeah, he invented a lot of cool stuff, but he's not like the grandfather of all modern technology. Also, in science, what was the word you used? I'm going to say presuppositions, but I don't know if that was the word you used. You said we don't have presuppositions. That's explicitly false. Science is this is sort of a philosophy of science term, but science is theory laden. And what this means is that when we develop excuse me, when we develop new hypotheses, they're laden by our previous theories. And so we're always making certain presuppositions in science based off of what we currently know, based off of certain predictions that may be made by models, all sorts of things that we might not know yet are actually true. So the idea that we don't have any presuppositions in science, that is not true. I don't know any philosopher of science who would agree with that. And you said you want to see the experiments.
Yeah.
Well, if you can get the funding to reproduce them, then that would be what you would have to do, because this stuff requires extremely expensive equipment and usually a lot of people working together for an extended period of time.
Right.
And that's why results are published. So I just go look at the published results.
Right. You just read the paper
and they, yeah, I go look at the published results, as we do in science, because trust is actually very important in science. We need to trust that our instruments are working
10
properly.
seconds.
We need to trust that the methods that we have will deliver accurate results. And we need to trust our compatriots in science as we work together to figure out the world around us.
Right. Okay, so number one, that's extremely convenient, right? Like, oh yeah, well, the experiments we would need to do is just too expensive. Okay, listen, like that's what I like to just keep things very, very simple, because that is literally just a barrier, right, of entry that people use to be able to gatekeep science. Like, and this is a government thing as well. Get the funding. When you say get the funding, you're talking about lobbying the government organizations. Like I said, don't get me into political shit, but I want to. Let's start off with Nikola Tesla. All right, so I'm not going to ask you these questions because I already know the answer. Right. Is there an invention that we use today that is basically not a combination of light and sound? No, there's not one that we have that's basically not a combination of some form of light and sound. Both of these things were invented and perfected by Nikola Tesla, both of them. That's correct. The person that first sent a radio wave over the Atlantic Ocean pretty much got that whole thing from Nikola Tesla, but he was working on his AC, on the light at that time. It really wasn't that big a deal. You understand what I'm saying? I want you to really think about this. What new emerging technology that have we invented that isn't a product of those two things, right? That's the first thing, right? And then you keep saying no philosopher. I want you to understand the words that you're using. Linguistics. You're using the proper word, philosopher of science, not scientist. Okay, philosopher. You keep switching back and forth between philosophy and science. All right, science is data collecting. Observe, right? Come up with a hypothesis.
10 seconds.
Last thing, you keep saying we have new theories and new. This is my last question to you. I asked you a few more questions, but this is my other question. Can you have a scientific theory without an experiment? Is that even possible? Scientific.
For you there, Leo.
Well, scientific experiments are usually done within the context of a theory to figure out if predictions it makes are observed in reality. So, I mean, experiments are, I don't know if I would use the word necessary, but experiments are requisite for scientific.
So we can't have a theory without an experiment. All right.
For the most part, theories are developed and carried further by experiments. So yeah. But I brought up philosophers of science. I brought up philosophers of science because I was talking about the concept of theory ladenness, and that's a philosophical concept. But when we talk about science, philosophy of science is actually quite important to that, because that's where we're laying out the framework for science, what it is, how we do it, and those kinds of things. And that's why I think that it's going to be very difficult to talk about science without philosophy of science. Anyway, yeah, I know that Nikola Tesla did some stuff in radio technology and all that, but
did some stuff.
The fact that we use things like electromagnetic radiation in modern technology doesn't mean that all modern technology goes back to Tesla. Tesla didn't even really help develop anything within the theory of electromagnetism, which is what more we're going to rely on with respect to developing modern technology than Nikola Tesla's work.
Okay, so once again,
but I don't really want to talk about him the whole time, just to clarify.
Yeah, I'll put a button on that, because we are arguing, like I said, philosophy and history. You feel me? And this is kind of like my area. So I just want to let you know that yes, every modern invention we have today comes basically back to something that was started, right, or even perfected by Tesla, but wasn't allowed to be put out into the public until recently. Tesla had wireless, not just wireless charging, but wireless transfer of energy fields, where he was basically creating energy, free city energies right around the time that he was killed. And guess what? All the people that were funding him just happened to be on the Titanic as well. Right. So these are things that have billions of dollars of implications. Right. So like, let's not pretend like people don't murder people for millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars every day. Things that have billions of dollars of implications, they would gladly take out one or two people when they're sending our kids into meat grinders right now overseas. They have no problem sending kids into meat grinders to die for oil and all this other commerce related business. And you think that they won't, you know what I mean? They won't suppress technology that has the ability to give the whole world free energy? 100%.
Oh no, I think governments around the world do suppress technologies. But again, that's not really. So I'm just willing to grant that. Yeah, all of our technology roots back to Nikola Tesla. That's not a hill I really want to die on. To get more back into the topic, so you had mentioned something about gravity being dielectric.
Yeah.
My main question then is, given that there are two manifestations of electric charge in electromagnetism, positive and negative, why is gravity only attractive and not also repulsive as it should be?
That's a misconception. There's actually no such thing as negative charge. It's charge and
yes, there is. We can measure it.
So well, technically we're being semantical, right? But what they're measuring charge and discharge. It's pressure mediation. That's really all it is. So
I don't know what that means.
Like it's just a second law of thermodynamics. That's all it is. Pressure builds.
I don't know what that has to do with this.
Huh?
I don't know what that has to do with this. I mean, you can relate electromagnetism and
that's what it comes down to.
Then, well, I have. That's why I'm confused here.
So you're not aware that
no,
charge...
we do. There is such
seconds,
a thing as negative charge. That's strange. There's no such thing as negative charge. Of course there is. There's positive and negative. We've measured both, and since electromagnetism has both, if gravity were somehow electromagnetic or electrostatic in some way or another, then it would be both attractive and repulsive. But we only ever observe it being attractive. Why? Okay. And how come its level of attraction is directly mathematically tied to the amount of mass in an object, and it has nothing to do with the electric charge?
It's not, Leo. It's not. Okay, so number one, give me a quick second to pull up this citation. Quick second. Okay, never mind. All right, look. The reality is that everything comes down to pressure mediation. All right, this is a very, very technical subject.
What do you mean by that term?
Huh?
What do you mean by the term pressure mediation? Genuinely, I'm not sure what you're referring to when you say that.
Okay, so basically, okay, so like you can use magnets, right? Oh man, I was saying like it's okay. So basically, what magnets are, right, is you're creating electrical fields, right, and then the fields have either coherent or non-coherent reactions to each other, right, and then it basically pulls energy from the ether. I was saying like it's like, oh man, it's such a complicated subject, but basically that's what's going on. Is everything is dielectric, and so what we do is we create fields that basically charge up the electricity from the ether, and then it releases it as matter, if you will.
Oh, well, because I thought electromagnetism was mediated by the exchange of photons, as is described in quantum electrodynamics, which has been confirmed to the 18th decimal place.
It has not been confirmed because it's built upon a bunch of it's built on reifications that people have actually identified the photon as a particle.
No, just reifications of what?
That the photon is a particle, right? So we've already no, the atom isn't a particle.
Yeah.
Is the
atoms aren't particles? Atoms can be called particles, they're just not elementary particles.
Okay, so how do we know the photon is a particle then?
Because we've measured it.
How?
By disturbing the electromagnetic field, which we can do using things like electricity.
There you go. We disturb the field, and electron is basically the diametric end of a terminal electric field. So there's an electric field, then there's a gap in the field. That's what an electron is. It's not a particle.
It would be an electron would be a perturbation in the electron field, not the electromagnetic field. However,
just one
the
field,
electron, since the electron carries electric charge, the electron field can couple to the electromagnetic field through some complex gauge couplings, as it's called. Like this, because I've watched lectures on quantum field theory.
No.
I'm curious how anyone could think that gravity has anything to do with electromagnetism. It's just silly.
Because it's literally the exact same thing. The same way that right? The same way that the pressure, there's a downward electric current on the earth, right? The same way that the pressure of our electric field mediates on the earth at grounding out is the same way that certain metals, when they're next to each other, their fields either attract or repulse each other. I'm saying it's a complicated subject, but I want to make it so that way the average person understands.
Why is gravity stronger on the sun?
How do you know that the gravity is stronger on the sun?
Because the sun is more massive, much more massive than the Earth.
Okay.
And we are within the sort of the throes of the sun's gravity. That's why we orbit.
So are you not aware that gravity is not mass attracting mass? You're not aware of that, right?
Well, I wouldn't describe gravity that way. I think that's quite simplistic.
Okay, well, only every physicist on the planet that exists right now describes gravity as the bending and warping of space-time. So
curvature,
you say that gravity is
of space-time, which is how I would describe gravity. Is
but you said it was tied. But you said it was tied to the mass of an object, which is not true.
Because the
those
geometry of space-time is stressed by mass energy, as according to Einstein.
Okay, but mass isn't the same thing as size.
Well.
Mass isn't the same thing as size.
No, you're correct. The sun isn't just larger in size than the Earth. There's also more material, you could say, per square inch
when you describe the bending and warping
than in the Earth.
That's just the size. That doesn't say anything about the mass.
Well, the mass is what causes that. The mass stresses the geometry of space-time. We can measure that as curvature.
All right. Yeah. So this is the theory, right, that you're giving me. It's not backed up by experiment. It's not backed up by observation.
It was confirmed by Einstein. Well, Einstein, I can't remember if Einstein was on the trip. But and then Arthur Eddington, because according to general relativity, there were two stars positioned behind the sun.
General relativity has been debunked.
All right, I don't want to have to put you guys back on timers. If we could just try to mitigate the interruptions just a little bit back and forth. Not just you, Ross. I mean, it's just you guys are having a really lively discussion. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it, but just a little bit of the back and forth. If we could mitigate the interruptions.
I'm just trying to explain.
Go ahead, Leo. Sorry.
What the first observation that confirmed general relativity was. General relativity made predictions about the position of stars that exist way far away behind the sun, on the other side of the sun, and that in fact where they're positioned we wouldn't be able to see them, but because their light is lensed by the gravity of the sun, we can actually see them. They appear outward more than what they actually are as a result of that lensing light. And general relativity predicted the amount by which that light would lens. And during the next solar eclipse, Eddington used a telescope and observed those stars and observed that they were lensed when he did the calculations by the exact amount that general relativity had predicted. Not only that, but I mean, we can see even in the James Webb Space Telescope photos, the ultra deep field that it took, we can see the lensing of the gravitational lensing of light from distant galaxies. So gravitational lensing is well observed and used by cosmologists daily because it effectively magnifies, what the object that the light that's being lensed is coming from. And so that gives us a bit more of a finer detail into those objects, which helps us better understand them. I mean, there's more predictions, black holes, gravitational waves, the perihelion precession of Mercury. There's a lot, but yeah, general relativity is used every single day by cosmologists. Final statement. In fact, it is the single most important tool in the toolbox of cosmology. There is no more tool more important to a cosmologist than general relativity.
All right. Okay. So, all right. I'm going to ask you a quick question before I get into your responses. All right. How many times does somebody have to be wrong before you start assuming that they're probably not that intelligent? How many times?
How many times? I have no idea.
All right. Let's give it a percentage. If somebody's wrong 50% of the time, is that somebody you should trust? 50%?
I don't know. Most people are probably wrong 50%.
Okay. What about?
I don't know what the average amount of being wrong is.
I'm asking you personally. I want to know you personally. You personally. If somebody was wrong 99% of the time, would you still trust them after that?
If I'm measured it, they were wrong 99% of the time, I'd probably assume that they're
either
I might
lying
want to assume they're a liar, but I
Right.
don't like to, attribute lying to people who could just be wrong, just not know about something.
Right. You know what I like about you, Leo? I can tell that you're a nice guy, right? And the problem with nice guys like us, right, is that we look at the world like other people are us. We think like, if I was in that position, I wouldn't lie. So why the hell would they lie, right? They must just be wrong, right? you know what, fine, Leo, let's give them the benefit of the doubt, right? And say that they don't lie. They're just wrong all the time. All right. Okay. So you said that general relativity makes predictions. It's the most important tool that we use in cosmology. In the 1933, this is almost 100 years ago now. In the 1933, Fritz Zwicky, right, observations, the galaxy clusters, there was not enough mass for gravity to hold the clusters there. It was 99% off, Leo. 99% off. And that's not all. Guess what? They
we still observe that today. We still observe that today in galaxy rotations. And there's other anomalies we observe in galactic clusters
but this is the point.
That would go along the lines of what you're describing.
Let me give you my point, though. My point is that the theory of general relativity, which did not have experiments behind it, it was wrong. It was 99% off. And then when they did it again in 1955, it was also 99% off again. You understand what I'm saying?
So you're just bringing up dark matter.
I just want to make something clear for everybody in the audience listening right now, right? You're saying that gravity, right, is the only thing that's keeping our cosmology together or whatever, right? Dog, for the amount.
Well, no, I said it's the most important tool to a cosmologist.
But the tool is off by 97%. All right.
It wasn't off.
It is off, right? Because 97% of all matter is dark matter. You know what that means, Leo? That means we can't see it or detect it. That means it's not scientific. You understand?
Well, we can detect it through gravity.
No,
yes, we can.
It doesn't interact with the electromagnetic spectrum that we can detect.
We can't see it through the electromagnetic spectrum. Leo, we can detect it through gravity.
Huh?
No, they're not. We can measure it. We detect it through gravity.
Right, we need to make a space for each other.
That's where, so, in God, was it Vera Rubin that noticed differences or didn't notice as much of a difference as was expected in the rotation curves of galaxies? I'm pretty sure it was her. That's another thing. That's another anomaly. Galaxies lens light more than they should, as if there's more mass there than what we can see. That's another anomaly. These don't disprove general relativity, because general relativity still works just fine. These are just anomalies because our theories in describing reality are not complete. But this is just dark matter, which we can detect, and we can detect it through the collisions of galactic clusters, because what happens is all of the normal matter that we can see and that we're made out of will shock and slow as it interacts and you get friction. But most of the mass of these galaxy clusters, when they collide, passes right through and does not interact. That's dark matter. That's how we can detect it, through its gravitational interactions.
Leo, you sounded very compelling. I'm not gonna lie, Leo. I wish I was as nice as you and I could just believe stuff, right, that other people tell me and just go on with my life. You know what? It doesn't seem like they're right, but I want to believe it and not think about this anyway. So let me just check out of the conversation. But I can't do that, Leo. I can't check out of the conversation. All right. Like I said, for the sake of this conversation, the scientific method is only two things. It's observations and experiments. If you don't have observations and experiments, then all these theories you're giving me are just philosophy from some people that you respect. And I respect that you respect them. Don't get me wrong. I respect that you respect them, but I don't have any respect for anybody. I don't believe anything anybody says. So when somebody says something, I got to see the evidence. I got to see the experiments. And I'm gonna be honest, Leo, I like you haven't shown them. Like I just want to be clear. Like on my points, right? Like just on the 4 points that I have, right, before we get too lost in the weeds, right? Number one, all experimentation and all observation shows that the earth isn't moving. All right. So you can still be a globe earther and accept the truth. The truth is that every scientist on the planet accepts that all observation and experiment shows that the earth isn't moving. So like, let's accept that. And then we can move on to, all right, now is the earth the center of the cosmos? All right. Every scientist accepts that we'll never be able to tell. We won't be able to tell. And guess what? All observation shows it looks like we're in the center. That's why they say we can't tell, because they don't want to accept that we're in the center. So they want to accept what it looks like. So they're like, you know what? It could be either way. That's where we are on that. All right. If you don't accept that, then you're not familiar with scientific consensus. Number three, my bad, is that the surface is not curved. And you have some leeway there, but you're either going to have to accept that the surface that we live on. I'm not saying that the earth is not a globe. I'm saying that the surface that we live on is flat based upon experiment. All right. So you can either say that we live in a globe, but there's a flat plane in the middle of the globe, or you can say we live on a big ass globe that's so big that we can't detect the curve. Those are literally your only two options. So if you have some experiments or some observations that can like lead me in the right direction, I would really like to learn. I want to learn from you, Leo. I want to leave this conversation having gained more information, not feeling like somebody won or lost.
So with respect to the Earth's motion, physicists acknowledge that it is moving, that it is rotating, because, well, number one, we have the seasons, we have the differences in the angle of the sun and the sky as a result of the tilt of the Earth and its position in its orbit. All of those are explained by the Earth moving, as is the fact that during certain solar flares, some parts of the Earth won't be as affected because it's nighttime on those sides. It's facing away from the sun. Also, stellar aberration would be something that would be entirely unexplained if the Earth weren't moving, as with the fact that you can literally see, like, people have done time lapses of it, that the sky rotates, and that's because the Earth is rotating about its axis. So that's to address point one. You seemingly just reiterated the
there,
things you
Ross.
said in your opening.
Another 30
But
seconds.
the second thing you said about the center of the universe, there is no center of the universe. It would look like the center from any point into any observer anywhere in the universe. It's going to look like the center because of the expansion of space, which is a metric expansion of its scale. And so from any one point, it's going to look like it's that point out from which the universe is expanding. Because again, the expansion is metric. It's an expansion of the scale in space measured over sufficient distances. So but there is no center of the universe. The universe isn't an object that could have a defined center like that. So those were the two big things that I just wanted to address there.
Okay, so I just want to say that I want to congratulate you on graduating from an appeal to consensus logical fallacy to a false cause logical fallacy. I don't know if you know what that is, but I'm gonna explain it to you right now. All right. So you'll say something like this is an example of a false cause, right? You said, like, well, we have 4 seasons, so that must mean that the Earth is moving. You understand how that's a false cause?
Not what I said.
That's essentially what you said, Leo. I have it written down.
No, I said that the fact that we have seasons is best explained by the rotation of the orbit of the Earth around the sun as a result of the tilt of the Earth, and thereby the positioning of the hemispheres.
All right, he still has another minute and 10.
I didn't say it must be. That's not what I said.
Just try to hold your thought there just for another minute and 10.
I stand corrected. I stand corrected. It's still a false cause, though, right? Because just because, let's say they are correlated. Correlation is not causation. So you're saying that, that doesn't mean following the logical, a logical, like, syllogism of analysis, right? I don't know if you know what a syllogism is, right? But if you follow logical syllogisms, right, that's not a logical syllogism. We can't do anything with that piece of information. It doesn't give us the answer.
Arguments don't have to be given as syllogisms to be arguments.
Excuse me?
Arguments don't have to be given as syllogisms to be arguments.
Well, yes, but in order to be logical arguments, they do.
No, they don't.
Really?
To be valid, it just needs to be that the conclusion logically draws from the premises. Whether the argument is laid out formally, like in a syllogism, is irrelevant to whether or not the conclusion logically draws from the premises. That's all it means for an argument to be valid.
Okay, well, I just want to be clear. Okay, so a syllogism is just an argument that is
premise conclusion. I know what a syllogism is.
Okay, so now in order
taken 2 courses in formal logic.
All right, we're going to give Ross 35 seconds here. Go ahead, Ross.
Okay, in order for them to be logical, though, right, it has to follow, right, true statements. Like, if I say all of these kids in here are mine,
that's soundness, not validity.
No, that's not soundness. No, soundness is if those statements are true. I'm gonna explain the difference right now. All right. So this is
I know what the difference between validity.
I want to explain it for the people listening. All right. So a logical argument would be like, look, all of these kids in here are mine. I'm a black person, so all of these kids are black people, right? So that would be logical. That doesn't mean that it's sound. Right? Because if it's not sound, that means, like, these kids might not be mine, or I might not be black. If one of the premises aren't true, that determines whether or not it's sound or not. Logic can be logic without it being sound.
Well, an argument can be valid, but not sound, yes.
Okay, yeah. But
I don't know what this has to do with anything that I had said.
Oh, I'm going to explain right now, because your arguments aren't valid. They might be.
Why not?
I'm explaining to you, false cause. Before it was appeal to consensus. Now it's just
I don't know where I committed a false cause. You've claimed that I've committed one, but you haven't shown how I committed it.
I'm repeating your words back to you. All right. You said that, well, the reason why we can confirm the Earth is moving is because we have seasons. And the best thing that explains seasons is the Earth moving. Now, that may be true, even though it's not true. But let's say it is. Even if it is true, that's a false cause. If I create like
no, it's not. Because if it's true, then that is the cause. So then how would it be a false cause if that is the cause?
I'm going to try to break this down for you, all right? And I want everybody who's listening right now, like if you can't understand this, then maybe this conversation, this might just be out of your depth. But I learned this in my first year of college. It's not that complicated, all right? This is the reality. Let's say the earth is flat, Leo. Think about it. Or no, let's say the earth is a globe, right? Let's say it's for sure a globe. We don't know, but it is. And let's say I create a successful model like the Gleason's map, right? The Gleason's map is a successful model. Let's say I create a model, right, of the earth that works flat. Does that mean that the earth is flat? No, it doesn't mean that. Even though I create a good model, right? It doesn't mean that. That's a false cause, Leo. So models are not evidence. Evidence is observation and experiment. That's why I had to bring that up.
I still don't know how that's showing how I've committed a false.
Well, it might just be out of your depth then, Leo, because like I said.
Well, it's not out of my depth. It's the problem is that I didn't commit that fallacy. That's the problem. I didn't commit that fallacy.
So you don't think that saying we have seasons as evidence for the earth moving is a false cause?
No, that's not, because that is an explanation for why we have seasons. Because it is why we have seasons. The earth has seasons because it's orbiting around the earth.
How do you know that?
On its axis.
How do you know that?
Because if that weren't the case, we wouldn't have seasons.
That's the you just repeated to me the definition of a false cause. Like I could put your words in the
false
dictionary
cause is when you
as a definition for false cause.
Something else.
I gave you a lot of time to talk there, Ross. We're going to hand it off to Leo.
So.
Did you have any other thoughts there, Leo? I just handed you the floor.
No, not on that specific point.
Yeah, Leo. Okay. Like you have to show for sure that correlation is also causation. You have to show that. All right. So I don't want to get too deep into that, but like everybody who's listening, go look this up later, watch that part again and see if that's a false cause. It is. You have to come up with observations and experiments. And the only way you know that your experiment is successful is you have to have a control variable. There's no control variable or experiment at all in what you're talking about. You're just making a statement. Hey,
are you saying
the third?
So you're saying that the differences in the seasons isn't a result of the amount of direct sunlight that either of the hemispheres is receiving?
Yeah, I do agree that the sun is the number one contributing factor to the seasons. Yes. I don't think that's anything to do with
it's the sun in relation to Earth's position around the sun as a result of it being tilted on its axis, which affects the amount of direct sunlight that each of the hemispheres gets, and that's why we have seasons. Well, so we're in accordance there.
No, like, think about it. We believe the same thing. We just believe the inverse, right? I believe in what we can verify and you believe in what they told you, but it's the same process, right? We have seasons because of the sun, but it's because the sun is moving around top of us. We see the sun move around top of us. That's what we see observationally. So that's why we have seasons, because the sun is closer or farther based upon how it moves. And by the way, if we're moving around the sun, falling to the vacuum of space, why is the sun in the same spot every single year for thousands of years? How are we randomly flying through space and the sun and the moon and the stars never really move off their axis?
Because they're moving too. Like the whole solar system.
Are they moving randomly?
As a single? No, of course not. They're moving in accordance.
Not moving randomly.
You guessed it, gravity.
Well, gravity's already been disproven. So you're basically saying an act.
No, it hasn't.
God, you're basically saying an act of God makes something that we can't even conceive happen. Something that we're not seeing is not happening, but illusion is happening, and it doesn't make any sense. But God is making it happen. That's basically your story.
No, my story is the reason that the Earth is moving around its orbit and the reason the sun is moving is all due to gravity.
It's all due to gravity. So that's your evidence. Your evidence is, I said the word.
Well, no, that's the explanation. The explanation is gravity. I've already given you evidence for gravitation. So.
Oh, not even close, though. You didn't give me one experiment or observation.
Yeah, I did. I told you about gravitational lensing, and then there's also the perihelion precession of Mercury, which general relativity predicts. There's black holes, which general relativity predicted. There's gravitational waves, which general relativity predicted, all of which has been observed. So we've observed black holes. We've seen them because we know what they're like because we have general relativity to tell us.
Well, I've seen it too. Don't get me wrong. Like Lawrence Krauss is my favorite guy to listen to. So I've seen it.
I'm not a fan.
Well, I'm a big fan, right? But the difference is that I think for myself, right? When I look at something, data, I don't just take this other person's opinion on the data. I want to see the data for myself and come up with my own opinion, right? So basically, I understand, like, yeah, we do see stuff up there, but that's all we do. All we know is that it's stuff up there. We've never been there. We don't know what it is. You're just claiming that it's that.
Oh yeah, we can figure that out based off of its its emission spectra. Like that's how we can figure out what stars are made of very far away. Is we can just look at
What
their
are stars made of?
spectral lines.
What are stars
What
made of?
are they're made of plasma, which is super ionized gas.
Plasma.
It's what you get when the electrons and atomic
I
nuclei
know what
are no
plasma is.
longer
I know what it is.
bound,
But
and
how do
they're
we
just
know it's
kind of
made of
existing
plasma?
in a
All right, just 1 second, Ross.
because stars are extremely energetic as a result of their pressures from gravity in the core, which creates temperatures hot enough to result in the nuclear reactions that release all of that energy.
Okay.
That forces that material into a plasmaic state.
Can you show me an experiment that replicates that process?
Replicates what the process like that's going on in the
Making a
core of the
star.
star?
Be making a star. We're talking science. Science
in
debate.
making a star. I'm confused what process you want evidence for. The process that occurs in the cores of stars.
Created.
How a star could create what?
It could be created. You said that's how stars.
Oh, gravitation.
Can you show an experiment that shows that happening?
We've watched it happen. We've watched stars form.
When and where?
I don't know specific dates. If you just Google stars forming, like, sure, this is really.
Like I said, Leo, one day,
watch this.
One day, I hope to be able to be a religious man like you, where I can just believe what my pastor says.
I'm not religious. I'm a naturalist.
Go to church. I go to church and let my pastor tell me, you know what? We saw the quasars and the asteroids and the stars, and we know what they're made of plasma. I know that for sure. I hope one day I get to the point where I can just let all this go. I could let down my hunger for truth and just accept that whatever somebody who might know more than me tells me, I just gotta believe it. I admire you for that. I'm not gonna lie. I admire you for that. It takes a lot.
Well, I don't think that way. You've said multiple times that I think that way, but I don't think that way.
I mean, but all of your evidence is appeal to authority.
No, it's not.
Appeal to consent.
In any way, there's a difference between appeal to authority and argument from authority. Only one of them is fallacious, and that's argument from authority. If you don't give any sort of argument at all, and all you do is appeal to some authority on something, that's fallacious. But if you give an argument and then appeal to the fact that legitimate authorities in the area agree with the conclusions of the argument, that bolsters the argument, because these people are authorities. So appealing to them as non-authorities and non-experts is what we have to do. This is the reason why, if there was something wrong with your muffler, you're probably going to go to your mechanic and not your dentist.
Right. Okay, so two things. Number one, these people are not authorities, not over me anyway. No governmental figure has any moral right to tell you.
Academics aren't government figures. They're hired by private institutions.
All these authorities that you're talking about are government figures, or the government?
No, all the authorities I'm talking about are physicists employed in like universities,
the government funded
CERN.
Programs. The government funded programs.
No, they're not. Like
they're not.
The physicists that work at the Harvard Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics.
1 second, Ross. You gotta
that's a private institution. The government might fund projects, which it does a lot. That's kind of why we have the military that we do with the technology that we do, is because the government funds really cool shit that allows us to beat bad people in other places in the world. Like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with the government.
You're lost in the sauce.
Certain programs.
Okay, let me tell you something about your government, Leo. All right, since you're going to talk about that, all right, and don't get
that's what the debate was about.
Listen. Just because you think Tesla, right, or SpaceX is a private organization, they're not a private organization. Any company that receives government funds is a government company. All right, I don't want to get into the ins and outs.
That's not how that works. That's just straightforwardly not how that works in economics. No, it's not. Because what defines a private firm?
Let me finish. All right, Leo. Leophilius.
All right, we are both on mute, fellas. We can't be talking over each other. All right, I'm gonna take you off mute. I almost feel like doing an any, mini, miny, mo, because you guys are both interrupting each other a fair amount. Just gonna remind everybody in the audience, we are gonna be doing Q&A in a little bit here. So get your super chats in. They'll be read first, and if we have time for some extra ones in the chat, we'll get to them. And definitely hit the like button if you haven't already. Yeah, I'm gonna put you guys back on timers. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna do a minute, and I'm gonna hand it back over to you, Leo, and we'll see if we can get back into it. Any, mini, money, mo. Here we go.
That's strange. That's really... I do really want to say quickly, though, that I actually think there's been less interrupting in this debate than a lot of other ones that I've been in. I mean, we both kind of interrupted each other here and there, but I think this has been a pretty amicable discussion so far. Anyway, the only thing I was saying is that the fact that a company like, say, General Motors, or rather Lockheed Martin, might receive billions of dollars in government contracts doesn't make it a government corporation. It's privately owned by stakeholders that make decisions, that have a board of executives, that run the company, that they all work together in making this is capitalism. This is how it works. These are privately owned firms. The fact that the government happens to also pay them for stuff doesn't make them government firms. That's not how economics works in the modern age.
All right, great. So you're right. That's not how economics works, right? But that is how this country works. All right. Let me enlighten you, right? Look, for real. Look, if you listen, you'll learn something right now. All right. Let me enlighten you and everybody that's listening right now about what's really going on here in America. All right. America is not a country.
Can we keep this on topic?
Buddy,
I don't want to be that guy.
I sat here so nicely and wrote my notes.
All right, we'll have 40 seconds for you, Ross. Okay. I got the timer on. I'll pause it for a second while you do that.
Listen. America, right, is a company, right? It's a big corporation that makes weapons. That's what it is. It's a weapons manufacturing company. All right. That's what America is. They don't take technology and try to make us safe around the world. What they do is they create fake wars around the world so they can take the resources from the indigenous people that live in those areas, colonize those areas just like they did in America, right? So that way the companies like Lockheed Martin that own this country, that's funny that you said Lockheed Martin's not a government country. This country is owned by Lockheed Martin. Lockheed Martin owns this country.
5 seconds.
This country does things to do the bidding for Lockheed Martin. We go to war so that way Lockheed Martin can take money from the taxpayers and use it to kill people. That's what's actually going on. That's not even up for debate. All right. Please don't go.
All right. Over to you, Leo.
I'm not really sure what my positions on the government, and I have some opinions on the notion of the state. I'm just not sure what it has to do with this particular debate topic.
Honestly, I'm gonna be honest, Leo. Other than the experiments that I brought up in the very beginning of the debate, nothing that you've been talking about at all have been scientific. We've been talking about the philosophy and appealing to authority and who thinks what and why we should believe these people that you think are authority over. That's what we've been talking about because you don't have any observations or experiments to back up what you're saying. And all I have is observations and experiments, but you don't want to deal with any of my observations or experiments. I gave you an opportunity. We quickly got off of that because you realize that there's nothing there. My points are ironclad.
Yeah, no, there wasn't anything there with your observations and experiments, and I kind of addressed them, like with respect to the ether. I showed that does not show that the Earth isn't moving. It shows that the Earth isn't moving through an ether, which is reason to believe that there isn't an ether. Then we developed quantum electrodynamics, and now we know there's no ether. There is an electromagnetic field, however. So yeah, I mean, I've addressed all of that. I pointed out how electromagnetism doesn't explain gravity because it's dielectric. Then that means that it repulses as much as it attracts, but gravity is only attractive. Not only that, but you can do electromagnetism on gravitational fields, so they can't be the same thing.
All right. What is a gravitational field?
A gravitational field is usually a particular representation held in space-time that is defined by the metric tensor. Yes.
Okay. Listen, for the average person listening, I want the average person listening to know that what you said right there was basically nothing. The gravitational field
Would you like me to explain what I meant by that?
It's a made up thing. It's a made up place that we can't confirm. That's what it is. Bro, that's not scientific.
Well, that's not what I said. I said it's a representation of space-time represented by the metric tensor.
Made up.
No.
Space-time.
I mean, it's
space-time also made up.
System. Well, no, space-time's physical. We've measured that. So.
Hold on. Space and time is physical. Time is
space-time. Space-time is physical.
Okay, those are
space-time.
Okay, space is made up, time is made up, space-time together is still made up. How is space-time?
No, it's not.
And how do we measure?
Because we can measure differences in the flow of time as a result of either extremely high velocity or extreme gravitation. So, for instance,
what control variable do you use to make sure that the correlation is causation? What's the control variable in that experiment?
Clocks. Resting on the Earth at sea level
1 minute
versus clocks like that are, say, on our GPS satellites, which is why they have to be consistently readjusted. It's because the clocks on our GPS satellites literally tick faster, and we can measure that, and we have to account for it in order for our technology to function properly. That's how we know space-time is real. If it wasn't, then if space isn't real, where do you exist? If time isn't real, if time isn't real, when do you exist?
We can deal with
Where
that later.
and when would you put things if there was no space-time?
That's philosophical now. Let's not leave
But
experiments.
you're the one saying they don't exist, which is itself a philosophical claim.
Well, I'm saying that we can't measure. I'm saying anything that I can't observe or measure through experimentation, then I'm not going to assume that it exists. No. So I just want to let you know. I want to let you know that what you're talking about measuring the difference between clocks and whatnot, that also is false cause. That's a textbook false cause fallacy, right? Because you have to have a control variable. You have to have a control variable that you can manipulate in an experiment so that way you can prove that the effect that you're claiming comes from a certain phenomena is that effect. You need a control variable. You didn't describe a control variable. For example, in my experiment, the control variable is what?
That's not how time dilation is derived. Yeah, you are. We know that time dilation and length contraction are things not because we physically observe them in reality, but because they're real. They're inherent. They're inherent in the space-time diagrams that we have to use when we represent things, when we do physics.
More diagrams, more made-up things.
Yes. Yes, that's what physics
real.
is about. There's a lot. You use a lot of diagrams.
Nothing real. No, nothing real. No experiments, no observations. All right. If we haven't observed it, it's not real. Time dilation is not real. You understand what I'm saying? You know why? Because by definition, it can't be real because time dilation is, in a nutshell, I'm making it simple. I know it's more complicated. I'm making it simple. Time dilation is because we're moving, right? Our measurements are off because the ruler's shrinking, the car is shrinking, and guess what? Even you're shrinking. Your eye is shrinking. So we can never tell. If we can never tell scientifically, that means we can't observe it. It doesn't exist. Listen, I get it.
But we have observed.
Really intelligent. These people are so intelligent. They have convinced you guys that everything that they're saying has been backed up by a scientific experiment, and it hasn't.
And
none of it has.
Yeah, it has.
Huh?
Up to a minute.
I mean, but both length contraction and time dilation have been observed. We also observed them in the muon rays.
By definition,
he has up to an
atmosphere. And by definition, they're there because they're intrinsic in the space-time diagrams that you have to have if you're doing physics.
That's a real.
If you were trying to understand things moving at relativistic speeds, and you didn't use like the Lorentz transformations, you wouldn't get the right answers. So what that tells us is this is a feature of reality. This isn't just about how we measure it. And length contraction and time dilation actually come from how the structure of your space-time diagram changes. So as you accelerate, instead of your axes being at a right angle to each other, they actually begin to contract upon each other. That's what you're. So if I, being on the Earth, sort of Lorentz boosted into a reference frame of a particle moving at very close to the speed of light, I would see its space-time diagram like that, whereas I would see my own at 90-degree angles. So it's about the structure of space-time itself when things move, or when we observe things moving at very, very high speeds.
Right. So everything we're talking about right now is completely theoretical, it's completely philosophical, and none of it is scientific. So you're literally talking about math, right? You're talking about math and how certain things fit in your math equations so that way they can properly explain what they think they're seeing on the Earth. Like, I know you said a lot of words, but essentially what you said is they came up with a math equation that was supposed to explain what was going on. It didn't work. So they had to come up with something called time dilation to fix why what they were predicting did not match reality. Essentially, that's what you said. So you're saying that, you know what? They were wrong. So they made this up, which we can't detect to cover the fact that they were wrong. Listen, this is the bottom line. We almost don't know anything in the grand scheme of what's really going on in the universe. Our knowledge is closer to zero than it is to knowing anything. We pretty much know nothing. And I'm going to tell you right now, they want you to think that they know everything so that way you rely on them for everything. It literally is that simple. That's where the rubber meets the road.
Yeah, you say we haven't observed these things, but we have to correct for them in order for our technology to function properly. So I don't know how much. Our GPS satellites. Our GPS satellites. If we didn't correct for the time dilation in 24 hours, the GPS on your phone or in your car would be off by 7 miles. We have to consistently readjust the clocks on our GPS satellites because of the time dilation effects, because they're 14,500 miles above sea level. So yeah, I'm not sure where you got your physics education, but I don't think that it was from any accredited.
Still has 25 seconds. If you, I think he seeded it. All right, go ahead, Ross.
Okay. Well, I don't have any physics education. All right, everything I'm reading right to you right now comes from the physicists that built the world that we live in today. You just don't want to agree with scientific consensus
Then how
because
come their textbooks don't say that stuff?
50
Hey,
seconds.
I'll let you go. I'll let you go. Just let me finish because you're in the church of scientism, right? And by the way, when you said that, right, it actually reminded me of something I didn't bring up in my presentation, right? So if you want to talk about right, like navigating, right, and GPS and all that, did you know that on the Gleason's map, right? If we navigate using the Gleason's map, airplanes and ships, then we don't need to use any form of magnetic declination. The compass works perfectly. But if you use it on a globe, there's a whole magnetic declination chart that you basically have to adjust where you're going, right? Based upon what the GPS says you're doing, right? Based upon what the globe maps say you're doing, you basically have to correct so that way you're traveling along the Gleason's map. That's literally just like another point for the fact that whatever plane we're on is a flat plane. It doesn't say anything about the overall world, but the area that we're navigating, it's obviously flat and matches the Gleason's map perfect. Magnetic declination proves this.
Yeah, well, I don't really know anything about that, but I did want to say, you keep saying that like you're quoting what the physicists are saying, but everything that you're claiming they're saying is not in their textbooks. It's not in their lecture series. It's
you've
not
never
in
read
their
research. You've never read.
So I'm just confused. I'm just confused as to why you would think the physicists are saying these things that they're clearly not saying. There was something else you said. Oh, yeah. I'm not a scientistic. I don't hold the scientism. You see, a lot of people like creationists and flat earthers throw out the word scientism, but I don't think that they understand what this is and that this is a particular view within the philosophy of science more specifically, but within philosophy, or you could say metaphysics more broadly, where one believes that the scientific methodologies that we have for understanding the world are the best methods for understanding literally anything about the world, including things like morality or aesthetics or things like that, more abstract concepts. I don't hold to that view. I'm not a scientistic, so I would appreciate if you didn't refer to me as one.
Well, I mean, I can respect that you think that, but I'm gonna break it down for you. I mean, word for word, like I said, like linguistics was one of the first things that I studied when I went to school. You feel me? The reality is you believe in things without evidence, right? Without confirming the evidence.
That's not true.
Yeah, I mean, you haven't given me evidence for any of the things that you believe.
I have.
I mean, you say that, but it's not real evidence. This is why I keep bringing the facts.
It is. That's why it's contained in the research that the professional physicists do.
All right. Well,
because that's the standard.
I just want to read something to you.
You've chosen to reject that standard because obviously, if you
I'm rejecting the scientific method.
In a very interesting predicament.
But
that's the standard.
All right.
I'm rejecting the scientific method.
Yeah, I think you are. Well, you might not be rejecting it, but you're certainly not really. You don't seem to care about it.
My whole presentation started off with experiments and observations.
I don't really think the scientific method is all that relevant to the discussion.
Oh, now it's not relevant.
People always want to bring it up. No, I don't think specifically going over the scientific method is relevant to this discussion.
I'll tell you how it's relevant, because if you don't follow the scientific method, then you're a scientist, right? And I mean a scientist in the way that you follow scientism, not a real scientist in a lab. You don't do experiments. You follow the church of scientism. You're a scientist. That's hilarious. But
scientistic is the term.
Okay, my bad. Yeah,
but I've already explained what scientism is and why I don't hold to it. So I'm not a scientistic.
Well, I don't know, but you might think that you don't hold to it, but your actions.
No, I don't hold to it. I know what the view is, and I'm not that. I don't hold to that.
I mean that, but you also said that no physicist, right, agrees with any of the stuff that I'm saying, and I'm about to quote some right now. Here's Nikola Tesla, the person who is the father of all of the inventions that we use today. All perceptible matter comes from a primary substance or tenuity beyond conception, filling all space. The akasha or the luminiferous ether, which is
he was wrong.
The life-giving prana, or creative force calling into existence in never-ending cycles.
See, this is what an argument
and phenomena, unquote. This is somebody that actually invents stuff, right? Our modern inventions depend on what he knew, on what he believed, not the random people that you subscribe to.
Name isn't cited that often. That's the case.
They didn't invent anything.
I just want people to note what just happened, and that's what a real argument from authority looks like. I mean, Nikola Tesla was obviously wrong in that quote. We know that's wrong. There's multiple matter fields that exist, so it's not one thing.
It's funny that you tried to specify the difference between a fallacy and an argument from authority, because I'm the only one that's giving arguments. And then when you appeal to authority and tell me that nobody agrees with me, I correct your appeal to authority by
I didn't say nobody agrees with you.
Hold on, let me finish. Listen to what I'm saying closely. You know what I'm about to say, so you want to interrupt it. No, listen, let this go. All right. You appeal to authority when I start giving experiments. So I have to combat your appeal to authority by bringing authority on my own. But it's not what you're doing, because yours is an argument from authority, because you don't have
whose authority am I appealing to?
But I'm not done. You don't have experiments. You don't have observations. I started off my whole presentation with experiments, with observations. So when I bring up authority, that's not me appealing. That's not an argument from authority. I might be appealing to it to add to my observations and experiments, my scientific evidence. But you, who brought no scientific evidence, when you bring up your authority, which you're not even quoting anybody, you're just saying it. You're like, well, yeah, well, physicists, random.
Exactly. So how am I committing
specifically
an appeal
name
to
the experiment they did that proves that what I'm saying is wrong.
Well, I did. I mean, Arthur Eddington, and the experiment he did confirming general relativity, which is why the consensus very quickly changed after that.
Saying I did doesn't mean you actually did.
He still has 50 seconds.
Well, I didn't do the experiment. Arthur Eddington did.
No. You said you brought up experiments and observations, and you did.
Yeah, I just did. Yeah, I did. The one that Arthur Eddington did.
Arthur Eddington. Explain the experiment.
Well, okay, I'll explain it again. So Arthur Eddington, during a solar eclipse, was capable of actually observing the lensing of the two stars, and the amount by which they were lensed was exactly as general relativity would have predicted. So that's an experiment, and that's an
observation. That's an observation, not an experiment.
Observations come from experiments. That's the observation from the experiment of looking at these two stars. The observation was that they are lensed, and that they are lensed by the exact amount that was predicted by general relativity, which then serves as confirmation for the theory.
I know. See, look, this is why
that's just one that I listed. I listed multiple.
No, let's stick on that one. No. Let's stick on that one. We're not done.
1 minute on the clock.
Okay. So number one, all right. The scientific, this is why I said I want to just keep it simple, because so many people on this channel have a hard time with the scientific method. You guys need to go back to elementary school and learn that natural science comes from observing a naturally occurring phenomenon. After that, you come up with the hypothesis. After that, you design an experiment, right? There's also a lot that goes into testing the parameters of the experiment to make sure it's proper. And then you come up with the theory, all right? Leo, you don't know what you're talking about, all right? I think you're out of your depth when it comes to this. You just hear people say stuff, and you're able to remember stuff and retain it and repeat it. But
I'm just going to pause your timer. I'm just going to pause your timer for 1 second there, Ross. Just for the last 20 seconds here on your timer, just to take that thought and wrap it back into the flat Earth versus globe debate topic, so we can get steered back in. Okay, so 20 seconds.
I forgot what I was saying, but the reality, look again, my point is, let's bring it back. All right, this is a scientific debate. The scientific method is observation, experiment. Let's just leave it at that. Don't make it more complicated. All right. If you want to come up with a good scientific argument, show me observations, show me experiments like I did in the beginning. All right. Now you gave me some observations, right? You gave me some observations, but then again, like, those are just observations. That doesn't necessarily mean anything, because in 19
show me observations, and you showed me observations, but those are just observations.
Because I can show you contradictory observations. Yes.
Like what? What would contradict the observation of Arthur Eddington?
In 1953, they did the experiment. 1933, this is when the theory of gravity was changed to from mass attracting mass, because they realized that there wasn't enough mass in the galaxy to keep them from escaping. So, like,
but that doesn't mean the theory's wrong.
Well, it doesn't.
What that means
wrong, but it does mean that we go back to the drawing board. It's not wrong, but we do have to go back to the drawing board until we figure out.
That's what physicists did, and they're still working on it.
But most
of them think, yeah, it is what they did. Most of them think it's dark matter. Some of them think it's modified gravity. The vast majority of cosmologists are on the side of dark matter. We've made significantly more measurements with respect to dark matter. Like I said, most cosmologists are going to think that it probably is some form of tangible matter that does not interact with the electromagnetic radiation, which is really not that far-fetched of a thing, but it does interact interact with gravity, and it's that extra gravity coming from that dark matter that is responsible for the anomalies we see. And the funny thing is, all of this fits very, very well within the framework of general relativity without pretty much any modification to it. And that's why it's so favored, because it's simple, it fits the observations, and it explains what we see. And that's what good science is all about.
Interesting. And that was great, Leo. I hope one day I get to be just like you and just say whatever people tell me without having to think about it myself. All right. But let me.
You know, you've said that a lot. I just want you to know it's not an objection to anything.
Okay, I know, but so for everybody listening, I want to give a summary of what you just said. You said, yeah, they looked at it, their predictions were wrong. We have all these theories, which means we don't know yet. And then at the end of that, you said, and so now we know. Like that's a huge,
that's
whatever you want to call
not
it.
a good summary of what I said.
You start off with we don't know this, but we do know this. Dog, if somebody is wrong one time, I'm already weird. If they're wrong twice, I'm like, all right, that's it. These are people that have been wrong at every step of the way. They're wrong. So I'm supposed to assume that they're right now? No. They don't know, and you don't know. But
you don't think that we know much more than we did in 1933?
I do think we know a lot more than that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I broke it down.
That's what I was explaining.
Yeah, we know that everything is electric.
Anomalies in
everything is static. Everything is electrostatics. We know the surface is not curved. We know the Earth is the center of the cosmos, and we know the Earth is not moving. That's what we've discovered since then, brother.
Repeating those claims. Yes.
All right, we're gonna give you a minute there, Leo, just because you did put up a lot of stuff there, Ross. So we'll give you a minute there.
I just wanted to say there's actually three elementary forces in reality. There's strong interactions, there's weak interactions. Radioactive decay is a result of weak interactions. Atomic nuclei are held together as a result of strong interactions, so it's not all electric. These are extremely well-defined effective field theories that have made predictions to the umpteenth decimal place that are so well confirmed that they will never be overturned. Like, really? We will learn a lot. We don't know all. We know actually a hell of a lot about our universe, but we don't know everything. But what will be true in 1,000 years is that this phone is still made of atoms, and that the nuclei of those atoms are held together as a result of strong interactions. That will be true in 5,000 years. That will be true in 35,000 years, because that is an objective feature of how the world works. It's not all electric. Electromagnetism is one very specified, very well-defined theory that we have. Gravity is another. Might not be a fundamental force, but it's not really even a force, but we can treat it as one. But it's different from electromagnetism.
You sound so sure, Leo, and I respect that. But just know that there's no surety or belief in science. So what you're doing is you're telling me about your philosophy, which is fine. I'm a philosopher myself. But the problem is once the arrogance comes in, right? You can have a philosophy that's different than mine. But once you start saying that people who don't agree with your philosophy aren't this or they can't, whatever it is, now you start getting to the realm of religion. That's why I say that you're in the religion.
I never said anything like that.
You just believe what all these people tell you, right? And then and it would be fine if you didn't think that you were on the side of science, but you somehow you're on the side of science when you don't even look at experiments, and that's your religious. You're in a religion now.
What people? You say you just listen to what these people tell you. Who are these people?
Whoever it is that you listen to that tells you that the Michelson and Morley experiment
that would be textbooks, lecture series. So if I wanted to learn about like geology, you're saying that watching like say a university recorded an intro to geology course and put it on YouTube, I should not watch that to learn about geology. Where should I go if not to professional geologists and the courses they teach and the books they write? I just did the same with physics. So I mean,
well, let me answer your question.
You've been doing it this whole debate. You've been trying to downplay the legitimacy of the academic level physicists and what have you, because you hold to such a thoroughly disproven pseudoscientific theory, and that you have to reject the legitimacy of academic physics in order to maintain some semblance of seriousness to you.
Don't call me pseudoscience, because I am being stringent to Francis Bacon. I'm sorry, this has existed for hundreds of years now. All right,
well,
we have scientific methods. Huh?
Oh, I was saying just 1 second, Leo. We're giving you the floor.
Yeah, well, look, we have the scientific method. I'm being stringent to that. I am for sure downplaying the validity and the authority of the academic community. It's all government ran. That's right. It's all government ran, and it's basically just commerce based. All right. So like I said, let's not even get in that, but for sure I'm downplaying them. You should not be appealing to their authority. I'm sticking to what can we observe and what can we test through experiment. guess what? You can believe what you want outside of that, but you can't call it science. Or you can, but then you're going to have people like me reporting to you that you're a pseudoscience. You can't call me pseudoscience because I'm following the scientific method. If you think that science is anything other than the scientific method, you're a pseudoscientist or you're in the religion of scientism. Linguistically.
I don't know what religion of scientism is. Again, for the third time, scientism is just a philosophical view. The scientific method has changed since Francis Bacon because the methods we use have changed, particularly as we've gained better technology. And what's more important than just like the methods of science, which are important, but what's very important is how science progresses and how the methods that it uses progress as science itself progresses. And there's a variety of philosophers of science that have spoken on this. Speaking of, Ross, what is your, like, are you a Popperian, a Kuhnian, a Lacatosian? Like, what framework do you use for understanding? Well, I'm referring to like 3 popular views
10 seconds
in the philosophy of science. Like myself, I hold to like how Imre Lakatos laid out what science is and how science progresses with, research methodologies, scientific research programs, and the core theories and auxiliary hypotheses and things of that nature. I was just curious if you held to any of the 3, and if so, which one?
No. I just like I'm as close as you can get to a realist, if you will, not quite a materialist, right? But if you consider the electric plane of the ether a different form of material, then sure, you can call me a materialist as well. I like to believe in things that I can see and verify for myself, all right? So I appreciate the scientific method because of what I believe about it, right? What I believe in I don't believe in the scientific method because somebody said this is the best way to do it. I believe in observation, but I also believe that our eyes can deceive us. And so we have to do experiments so that way we can test what we're seeing with our eyes, so that way we can know what's really going on. That's literally the edge of it right there. Anything else on that, I have to take with a grain of sand.
Okay.
And I also believe, just for the record, that every single thing that is government ran or funded is completely destructive and been politicized to lie to you. Science is the latest of that. It started off with religion, right? And then it went to like social action, and now it's scientism, right? They hijack science and get people to appeal to authority so that way you just believe what they say. And then when they say, hey, put this in your arm, hey, don't go to work, you just believe them because you're like, well, my doctor told me. Think about how sure we were that our doctors were right 5 years ago, and now everybody's like, I would never listen to my doctor again. You understand? This is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with liars that have financial reason to lie about all this stuff. And so it makes sense in that context. And like I said, if you look at all evidence, it shows that they're lying.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's just, well, they're wrong because conspiracism. It's all government conspiracy for control and money and power, and that's why we can't trust science that delivers technology every single day. We drive our cars, we use our phones, our computers, we use the internet, we fly on planes. But yeah, fuck all the people that know about how all that stuff works and make improvements to make human lives better. They're all controlled by it's all a conspiracy, guys. That's all it is. And let's not all act like we didn't know that this is where flat Earth always goes. It goes, oh, well, they're all wrong because NASA, government, conspiracy, money, power, control.
But this doesn't have anything to do with the Earth being flat. It really has to do with the electromagnetic nature of the Earth and how there's free energy everywhere. It's not really about that. And I hate the word conspiracy.
Free energy coming from the sun.
But listen, I hate the word conspiracy because what we're doing right now is a conspiracy. You know that, right? A conspiracy is just, would you know the definition of conspiracy?
As I was using it, yes, I do.
No. Did you know the definition of the word linguistically, not in your made-up head?
Yeah, but there isn't like the definition. The word has more than one definition.
No. We have the Webster.
There's not.
No. See,
there's multiple different definitions that can be used in different contexts.
All right, this is 40 seconds for Ross right now.
Look, Leo. This is why I brought up right? Logical reasoning, right? Valid arguments and linguistics. We can't change the definitions of words in the middle of sentences because then we'll never get anything done. Leo, this is not about us arguing and trying to make the other person look wrong or right. Leo, I want to find out what's going on for real. I want to find out the truth. So in order to do that, we have to agree on the definitions of words, right? And then we can use that to create a framework, right? So that way we can know what we're talking about in real life, okay? When you use the word conspiracy, right, that just means one or more person getting together to make something happen. All right. Conspiracy theories, like what are you guys even talking about? Like, you literally sound like a sheep that bases everything that you believe on Google. And I don't take you as that type of person that you base everything that you believe about the world on Google. You know what I mean? So just because Google says something is a conspiracy theory, that doesn't mean that it's not true. Tons of things that used to be conspiracy theories have been proven to be true already. So I don't know why you would even play that. Are you really think that it's far-fetched that the government is trying to take advantage of you? Are you really that? And like I said, maybe you're really so naive that you think that, oh, if I'm nice, other people can't be evil. You really don't think that there are people in the world that want to do evil things to you, Leo?
Wait, you think that I think that?
I'm asking.
Well, I mean, how I think about political economy, I just don't think is really relevant to this discussion.
It's exactly relevant because the people that would do that to you, they consolidate where the power is, right? Think about, you're not a power hungry dude. I went to school for political science, right? The minute that I found out what was going on in government, I'm like, I can't do this. I'm not an evil person. Only an evil person. So guess what? The people who are evil in the world, where do you think they're going to go? They're going to go to places where power is consolidated, so that way they can exercise their evil on people. 100%, Leo.
All right, floor is yours.
The fact that you think that the problem and all the power is consolidated in the government pretty much tells me everything I need to know.
Well, I'm going to let you know right now, Leo. I can map it out for you without even researching, right? I did a lot of research for this. For this, I don't have to do a minute of research. Every single issue that's going on the earth right now, every single one comes from government intervention, period. Every one, Leo. Test me on that. I dare you. And matter of fact, not
those
here.
governments are intervening on
technically
Leo's
time. Just 1 second,
Ross.
It's technically Leo's time right now, so sorry.
My bad.
I don't know why I'm entertaining this. I mean, at this point, I am ready to move into Q&A. I don't know if Ross is, but I just got to ask, these governments are intervening on whose behalf? These governments act on Lockheed Martin, and Lockheed Martin is owned by
it's people. I don't know.
Capitalists. Capitalists. Yeah.
Colonizers, buddy.
Yeah.
Colonizers. You don't
which
know
is related,
son.
which
Son,
is
you don't know your
related to the
history.
system.
Son,
Which
you don't
is
know your
related
history.
to the system of
You don't know your
capitalism.
history, son. It's
I
colonized.
think I know it a little bit better than you.
Not even close.
You do realize that colonialism has, like, capitalism was like built out of the colonialism of Europeans, right? Like the Dutch and the English.
Listen. No.
It's starting out as mercantilism.
You're confusing two different things. All right. In America, this is not a capitalist country. This is a fascist country. This is not a capitalist country.
We can move into the Q&A. I can't do this right now.
I know you can. I know you can. You have no. You're out of your depth right now. No, you're out of your depth. Laugh it off.
I'm very out of my depth.
Laugh it off.
This has been quite lively, guys.
A Marxist. I'm out of my depth.
All right. Y'all trying to get the last word here before we get into Q&A.
Country.
Hold on. All right, so thank you, both of our speakers. You guys have been super fun, super lively. If you're enjoying the debate, hit the like button right now. If you're hanging out in the live chat, I see lots of people with all kinds of questions here. So we are going to jump into the Q&A in just a moment. I will also remind you guys once again that within 24 hours, all of these are going to be uploaded to our podcasts. So share them out from your favorite podcast links and let your friends know. So as per usual courtesy, I'll just ask Ross, Leo, did you guys need to take a moment to step out for a second for any reason? We won't say. No? All right. Everybody's feeling good. Let's go into Q&A, everybody. So keep those super chats coming in, and we'll keep the conversation rolling along. If you feel like we didn't get to touch on something during the debate, now is the time to get that in as a super chat, and maybe we'll get to expound on it in a way that we didn't over the course of the last hour and 40 minutes here. So thanks everybody for being here. So Stupid Whore Energy, Biden Harris 2024 says, how can everything be dielectric when metallic objects, or dielectric, sorry, when metallic objects are not? They are conductors.
That's ridiculous. What you're saying right now has absolutely no basis in reality. Find one thing that is not electrostatic in nature. Even if you accept atomism, right? Which Leo already admitted that the atom is not a particle, right? But just for the sake of this conversation, let's say atoms are particles. What holds the atoms together? It's electrostatics or dielectricity, right? So that's basically the opposite end of charge.
And strong interactions.
That's just another way of saying electricity. It's movement.
No, it's not.
Electricity.
That's not electricity.
It really
is.
is.
A whole different
really
force,
is.
buddy, with 3 entirely different charges.
Negative. No, there's no 3 different charges. There's charge.
Yeah, there are. Oh, so you don't know anything about like quantum electrode or quantum chromodynamics? You haven't done any QS?
I know that people that study quantum physics know that their field is completely theoretical and has no basis in reality. There's no observation or experiments that.
Yeah, it does.
Huh?
Yeah, it does. The experiments are done every single day at CERN. This is how we discovered some of this stuff.
Let me guess. In the Large Particle Collider. In the collider, right? Yeah, they do it in the collider. Get out of here.
Yeah, we have multiple.
Show me pictures from the collider.
Get out of here, isn't it?
Well, I will show pictures from the collider.
Literally just go to Google and type in Large Hadron Collider, and you'll get pictures of the detector. Yeah.
Like I said, Leo,
you can look up CMS detector, and you'll get pictures of the CMS detector. Like, just go Google. Like I said, people have taken pictures of these things.
You're the type of person
and of the Earth and its round.
You're the type of person that bases everything you believe on stuff you read on Google, and that's fine. But don't.
No, that's not right.
Don't look down and get arrogant on people like me that do real research in life. All right, I don't.
You don't do real research.
Okay.
All right. Let's get moving on, everybody. Yeah, and if you're just tuning in right now, you might be wondering what this is all about. Pun intended. We are. Yes, that's right. It's my. And it kicks back sometimes, so I gotta be careful because it gets an air pocket down there. Yeah, it kicks back, pun intended. All right, we are debating tonight flat Earth versus globe. We've gotten into a couple other avenues here as well, so I hope everybody's enjoying the discussion. Let's keep going with the Q&A and keep those questions coming in, everybody. We super appreciate it. Let's see. Stupid Whore Energy strikes again. Biden Harris 2024. Explain the gravitational lensing effect, like light bending around the sun, and in experiments such as Pound Repka and Gravity Probe A, which confirms Einstein's predictions of general relativity. Sorry if I butchered the names.
I mean, that just has to be a complete misrepresentation because Einstein's theory of relativity has been debunked already.
By what?
Like I said, it was debunked in 1933 and in 1955 by basic observations of the galaxy clusters.
How did they debunk it?
By observing the galaxy clusters and calculating the amount of mass that should have been there in order to keep them from escaping. The mass versus the gravity, the number was off by 99%. There was 99% less mass needed for the amount of gravity that was there. So they changed.
Yeah, there's more mass there because they are held together. So we know that there's less mass.
There was less mass than they needed.
But there's less observed mass.
If it's not observed, how do you know it's there? If it's not observed, how do you know it's there?
Because we can detect it.
How?
Gravity.
No. See, gravity is what's in question. This circular reasoning. No, it is.
It's not in question.
Leo, you're having.
That's why no cosmologist.
Leo, listen what I'm saying.
It is.
I'm trying to help you, dog. All right. We're asking, how do you know gravity is there, right? And I'm telling you, it's not there because we observe this. And you said, no. It is there because gravity. That's literally what you said.
Yeah.
Gravity is in question. So your reasoning
can't
also be gravity.
These experiments don't call gravity into question. That's why no cosmologist thinks that they've called gravity into question. That's why general relativity is still taught at the graduate level for those getting a PhD in astrophysics or cosmology. They wouldn't teach it if it was refuted.
Shout out all the sheep.
It's taught in every accredited university on the planet.
Yes, they would. Shout out all the sheep, but I just want to let everybody know, all right, that just because motherfuckers teach you something in school, that doesn't mean it's true. I know that's crazy for you guys to imagine, all right? But guess what? Your teacher might teach you something. It might turn out to be a lie. All right. Just, while you're going on in life, don't believe everything you see on TV. All right, guys.
Yeah. Just because your mechanic tells you that you should change your oil roughly every 3,000 to 5,000 miles, depending on your vehicle. Don't 15,000, 20,000 miles. It'll be true. Don't listen to those mechanics.
That might not even be
true. They're lying to you. They're all paid off by big government and everything like that. They're trying to, sell more cars by you not taking care of yours.
You don't think they're trying to sell more cars, Leo? You don't think they're trying to sell more cars?
Mechanics because they're bad and they're
Leo, do you think they want to sell more cars or no? Do they want to sell?
No, I just think it's funny that he literally is saying that because a professional level course is taught at every accredited university on the face of the planet, that doesn't mean that what they're teaching in the course is true.
Well,
what they're teaching in abstract algebra courses,
it doesn't have any bearing on life.
It's just a bunch of bullshit.
It doesn't have any bearing on life because you could switch gravity with electrostatic, and the equations are the exact same.
No,
they're not. That? They're not.
They're not. No.
Leo. Okay, listen. This is what we have to accept in the world, all right? The reality is, like, there's probably like 10% of the world that can understand complex concepts like these, all right? The average person, this just might be over your head, all right? Because this is a very simple thing that me, not a genius, I'm not a genius, Leo, but I can understand what I'm saying very, very easily. And for some reason, you're having a hard time understanding how basic logical fallacies work, all right? So this just might be over your head.
You're just misusing it.
Might be out of your depth, Leo.
Can I ask you a quick question, Ross?
I would love you to ask me a question.
Can you tell me what the material conditional is?
The material conditional?
Yeah, what's the material conditional?
I just heard that word for the first time. I just heard those two words.
So you don't know what the material conditional is in logic, but you're telling me I'm the one in over my head. Well, just for those that don't know, the material conditional is if and only if, also referred to as material implication.
Oh, man.
Let's try to move on to the next super chat there. You guys are giving me seized car PTSD here.
It's because your mechanic is lying to you. You're not supposed to change your oil every 3,000 miles.
Oh, yeah. No, I was driving a car home one time, and I don't think the oil had ever been changed in that car because it just started smoking, and then pow, and she died. I was like, oh my, why did I meet this guy halfway? I am a fool.
Hey, real quick, shout out somebody in the comments. They just said that the Earth is a globe and stationary. Leo, if you were smart, that's the position that you would have took in this debate. If you really knew what the information was, you would have said the Earth it's not moving. All right, I agree on that. We can't argue that, but it's still a globe. If you were smart, you would have did that. Shout out whoever said that in the comments.
But if it wasn't moving, then seasons become inexplicable, and so does stellar
That's not true. That's a false call. That's a literal logical fallacy, Leo. A literal logical fallacy.
No, it's not. You haven't shown.
The false cause and a slippery slope. Both.
All right. We somehow managed to we need to move on to our next question. We have lots of them here, and we're going to stir the pot on this conversation for a while because this is not the end, folks. Let's see. LJ, our honorary, always here to ask questions related to Flat Earth, even when we're not having a Flat Earth debate, so love seeing you in the live chat, having fun, bud. What's the proof of Jupiter's mass, size, and gravity?
That's for Leo.
Yep.
What's the... Well, I don't understand the question. How do we know what Jupiter's size and mass are?
I imagine that is what he's saying.
I don't know. I don't do planet stuff. I don't measure planets. I have no idea how we measure the mass of a planet. I can Google it for you, though. I do more cosmology stuff. How do we measure the mass of a planet?
All right, well, you get that up. I'm going to remind everybody once again, smash the like button.
Oh, so we do it by basing it off of the sun's mass. And once we have the sun's mass, we can just determine the planet's orbital radius and period and calculated the required centripetal force and equating that force to the force predicted by the law of universal gravitation, all using the sun's mass. So yeah, again, it's complicated math because that's what physics usually is. But yeah, so we have ways. Actually, is this... Wait, no, that's something different. Okay.
Shout out Google.
Oh no, this is actually from Scientific American. Google is just the site that I used to get there.
Thank you for clarifying that.
All right, let's carry on. LJ, thank you for that, is going to strike again. Why doesn't Earth spin under a hovering helicopter?
Leo.
Because the helicopter already has the momentum of the Earth. The same reason why when you raise your hand in a car, it doesn't go flying back. Or if you like sit up off the seat really quick to grab your wallet out, you don't go flying back in a car because you're already moving with it. Next time you're in a car, just put a quarter on your knee and ask yourself why the quarter isn't moving.
See, with that,
because it's already moving. It's already moving with the car.
Doesn't that observation necessitate?
And even if you were to bounce and the quarter bounced with your knee, it's not going to all of a sudden start moving because it's already got the momentum of the car. So it's the same basic principle. The helicopter already had the momentum of the Earth because it took off from the Earth.
But what about if there's no covering? If you're in a convertible,
that has nothing to do. That has nothing.
It's certainly going to go back.
That has nothing to do with moment. Yeah, that's air resistance.
Okay, so this is what we're talking about. If the Earth is moving, right? So
and its atmosphere is moving with it, there's not going to be air resistance.
So there's like a roof on the Earth. Then you're saying there's a roof.
No, the Earth doesn't have a roof.
I mean, that's the example you gave. You said if you're in a car.
No, it's not.
All right. I just wanted to click.
You think the car having a roof was the point of my example? That's what you got.
It's a factor in it, yes. Because if you change the roof,
okay,
I'm going to show you how. Because if you make it convertible, it changes the example. Wow.
Because of air resistance. But if Earth's atmosphere is moving with the Earth,
I swear.
I don't think you got the point of this.
Let's move on.
I just want to point out one thing. I just want to point out real quick.
Sure.
I just want to point out how funny it was that when they asked you, how do we know the size and all that stuff about Jupiter, you were like, what? I don't understand the question. He's like, Leo, he just asked you, how do we know?
And then I reframed the question
debate
and then
very
said
simple.
I don't know the
how,
answer to that.
Meaning how do, huh?
Well, he didn't ask how do. He said prove this, that, and the other.
How can we prove it? How can we prove it?
Yeah, we don't prove it. Proof is for mathematics.
So we don't know then?
Well, you don't need proof to not have knowledge.
Oh, is that your final answer?
Final answer for what?
We don't need proof to have knowledge.
That's just a fact. That's an epistemological
That's a fact. Oh, that's a fact.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Well, that's not what a fact is, but it is true that you don't need proof to have knowledge. You just need justified true belief. Because that's what knowledge is.
I would say knowledge without proof is closer to intuition or like a guess.
No, proof doesn't have anything to do with knowledge. Proof is a particular method of deriving conclusions from.
Are we changing linguistics?
This has nothing to do with linguistics and everything to do with epistemology.
Linguistics is words and how they're used, buddy. Linguistics is words and how they're used.
Epistemology is the study of knowledge.
Well, I'm not talking about words and what they mean, though.
Yeah, you are talking about knowledge because you seem to be claiming that you need proof to have knowledge. No, you don't.
Okay, that's epistemology, but you said that proof doesn't have anything to do with knowledge. That's linguistics.
That's correct. That's also epistemology because I'm making claims about knowledge.
Those are very much linked.
No, not really. Oh. I mean, philosophy of language has ties to epistemology. And through philosophy of language, we get to linguistics, but it's not really relevant to epistemology as a subject.
That's just.
I thought you said you did philosophy. You don't know anything about epistemology?
What?
I said, I thought you said you did philosophy. You don't seem to have a strong grasp on the subject.
I understand it, but you don't understand how that. You don't understand how it's intimately linked.
What is the basic?
Leo, let me finish.
Let's let Ross finish up his thought there.
All right. Listen. I know you're getting excited because I'm cooking, but relax. All right. Listen, it's not that I don't understand it. You just don't understand how epistemology and linguistics are intimately linked. They're essentially the same thing. You cannot have epistemology without proper linguistics. Are you insane?
Well, yeah, you can. Because epistemology studies different things.
Bro, like I said, it's over your head, Bob. Over your head.
You don't even know what knowledge is in epistemology.
I don't know what knowledge is.
Right. Okay. Yeah, tell me what knowledge is according to epistemology.
I don't know what knowledge is according to epistemology.
Do you know what a Gettier case is? Can you tell me what a Gettier case is? Is this
a spelling bee?
No, you keep acting like you know more about these things than me, but then you don't know more about logic because you didn't know what the material conditional was, and it doesn't seem you understand epistemology because you don't know what a Gettier case is. And these are basic.
Let me can't stop you guys there.
Okay, Leo, I got you. Let me explain the difference. Let me explain the difference to you between memorizing and reading comprehension. All right, there's a difference between reading something and being able to repeat it, and reading something and knowing what is actually being said. All right. So when we're talking about linguistics and epistemology and how they're,
I'm not talking about.
You don't understand, right? What we're actually talking about past what the words mean.
I understand what I'm talking about.
You're just repeating what you see, what you hear on Google. All right. Linguistics.
Actually, no. I read a book on epistemology by a pretty prominent epistemologist.
I agree with you what epistemology is, but you don't have epistemology without linguistics. You don't have epistemology without linguistics. I don't see how you don't understand that.
Well, that's because it's not true.
Well, you have to know what words
Because
mean
cosmology is a different subject.
in order to track the history of knowledge, which is carried out through words. You have to know what the words mean. That's linguistics. I can't believe I have to explain
well, that's
this.
a part of
linguistics, yes. Like first year linguistics information to you. It's like, yeah, you can't have epistemology without us agreeing on what the words mean. Linguistics.
Well, that's a part of linguistics, but that's not like the whole subject.
Oh God. I'm good on that one.
Let's move on here. Yes, thanks for the super chats there. Keep them coming, everybody. As you can see, we got all kinds of stuff left to unpack. Taking Back Eden, FE says, Neo, if this is the Matrix, are you Anderson?
I don't know who that question was for.
I'm not sure because I never watched the movies. Oh, yeah, you can hate me.
Neither have I. I don't know anything about The Matrix either because I didn't watch it or them. I don't know. I don't even know how many there are.
Did you watch The Matrix, Ross?
Yeah, I did. And I'll comment on that. I just want to comment on something that I see in the comments. Somebody said that I'm the physical embodiment of ignorance is bliss, right? Dude, I literally pretty much said that exactly to Leo throughout this whole, that's literally been my whole point. I'm like, Leo, I hope I get to the point one day where I could be like you and I could just believe something, even though I don't know it for sure. Fuck it, ignorance is bliss. I live a happy life. I don't know for sure. Like, I'm confused. You know what I mean? Like, that's literally the exact thing that I've been accusing Leo of in this whole debate. And just on the Matrix thing, I mean, look, like, I don't like getting into all like the conspiracy theories or whatever, but we can talk about the facts of what's really going on. And all of this comes down to sucking energy out of people, making people pay for energy, right? Because energy is the basis of what runs our society. If we had free energy, we would not have to be slaves. Everybody listening to me right now, if we had free energy, you would not have to do any of the things that you're doing right now that you don't want to do. You would be able to work on your passions and all that and not be a cog in the system. So it's not so much metaphorical than it is literal, right? Because we literally have to pay for energy and you literally have to pay taxes or else you're basically a slave. You will get thrown in a cage if you don't work for your slave masters. You understand? So like that's literally what the Matrix is. It's just you going to work and doing what you don't want to do so that way you can buy energy to power your home and work on your passions and feed your family.
Okay. All right. Well, I haven't seen it, so yeah. Thanks for the thoughts there, Ross. Ozian Talks says 24 months. Is it? Yes. Membership for 24 months. Thank you so much for your membership. Says also after show on Matters Now. So there's gonna be an after show, everybody, and I think everybody's invited. LJ says for $1.99, how do we have a pressurized system within a vacuum? That's for you, Leo.
Gravity. Gravity holds Earth's atmosphere to the Earth because the atmosphere is gas and gas has mass and mass is what you need for gravity. And since the Earth is much more massive than the atmosphere, it holds the atmosphere there. That's why there's a gradient in the pressure from sea level moving upward that thins out as you move further away from the source of gravity.
I just want to be known that Leo does not agree with scientific consensus that gravity is not the mass of two bodies pulling each other toward one another. Leo is going against.
I never said that.
He's in a religion.
I never said that. I don't know what you're talking about. Why are you mischaracterizing what I've said?
Mass specifically. It has nothing to do with mass.
Yeah, it does.
It's not even real, and the fake one that you subscribe to doesn't have anything to do with mass.
Gravity isn't real. How come things drop when I let go of them?
Electrostatics.
So how come there's no repulsion of things?
What do you mean repulsion?
Yeah, you said dielectric, right? There should be repulsion alongside retraction, but we don't observe things flying off the Earth. We only observe things being attracted to the Earth.
All right. I'm gonna share my screen one more time because I didn't show one of my examples. I got you right here, dog. I got you right here. Here you go. You want to show repulsion, right?
All right. You're welcome to share your screen.
All you have to do is affect. Am I sharing that? Okay. All you have to do is change the electromagnetic frequency of the item or of the field, and gravity will change. This is them doing that with
actual. Not gravity changing. It's electromagnetic.
Oh, yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Doing it instead.
They're affecting. You're right. Gravity's not changing.
Oh no! This isn't like this is just using sound to levitate things. Yeah, this is very
sound is electromagnetic. Everything is electrostatics, dog. Do you not get that?
Sound is not electromagnetic. Sound is a result of acoustic waves in Earth's atmosphere.
Listen. Don't take my word for it. Don't take Leo's word for it. All right. Go research yourself and see if sound is electromagnetic frequency God damn it, this is so dumb.
No,
you know this.
color is
Every scientist agrees
electromagnetic
with this.
frequency.
Everybody agrees with this except you, Leo. Why are you the only one? Now I'm a
Physicists don't agree with
Why are you
this.
the only one that
Physicists don't agree
doesn't
with
agree?
this at all.
Huh?
I'm not. No physicist agrees with any of this because it's not true.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
No, they don't. How come it's not in any of their textbooks or their lectures?
Because it will give us free energy, and that will destroy the $1 trillion.
We already get free energy. We get a lot of free energy from the sun.
What?
The energy we get from the sun is free energy.
So why do we still have
That's
to
what
pay
it's called. What do you mean pay? Well, that has to do with the structure of our social systems. That has to do with the structure of our social systems.
Okay,
Nothing
that
about
down to your
what reality is or how it behaves.
All right. Okay. So that's your answer to the textbook, Leo. Why don't they teach it in the textbook? There you go. Your textbooks are government controlled. The government or the people that make trillions of dollars off it. Why would they give up trillions of dollars to teach you how to get
free energy? Trillions of dollars off of physics. That's not at all the case.
They make trillions of dollars off of us not getting free energy. Yes, they do.
Yeah, you're right, because we live under a capitalist mode of
course
production.
I'm right.
But that doesn't have anything to do with the shape of the Earth, so I don't understand why it's even relevant.
Hold on. That's a different conversation, number one. You're right. But we were talking about everything being electrostatic. That's what that has to do with. So don't change it. We can go on to the shape of the Earth again, but I was talking about the electrostatics. I proved it right there.
No, you didn't.
You played the electrostatic.
You didn't even bring up electrostatics. You brought up acoustic levitation. Just nothing to do with electromagnetism.
I said everything. Yes, it is. Everything is dielectric or electrostatic. And
wait, so I have a question. How come I can't hear with my eyes?
Well, technically, you do hear with your eyes.
I don't hear with my eyes. I don't know anybody that hears with their eyes.
Let me explain to you what's going on.
My eyes, and I hear with my ears.
Let me help.
The eardrum vibrates as the acoustic waves in Earth's atmosphere hit up against it.
We agree on that.
Because
right. We agree on that.
Electrostatics.
Right. Okay, I got you. Here you go.
30 seconds there.
Okay, so look, you call it hearing because it takes place in your eyes. You call it seeing, your ears. You call it seeing because it takes place in your eyes. It's the same thing. Frequencies are hitting your ears. Your brain is interpreting the information. Yes. Frequencies are hitting your eyes. Your brain is also interpreting the
electromagnetic radiation, yes.
Okay, yeah, so you're not seeing anything. You're not hearing anything. It's all electromagnetic frequency. That comes, some of it comes to your ear, some of it comes to your eye. It's the same thing. But no,
because the eye picks up electromagnetic radiation, but the ear doesn't have the same kinds of receptors. So the ear can't pick up electromagnetic radiation because it doesn't have any physically, biologically possible way to do so. But what it does do is it detects differences in the pressure in Earth's atmosphere, which is what sound is.
Allegedly, you're just saying that.
Well, no, that's what it is.
No.
That's what medicine is based on. That's what everything is based on.
Electromagnetic
so nothing to do with the electromagnetic.
Your ears. That's all it is. It's just electromagnetic frequency being interpreted through the ears.
I feel like this was happening earlier. We're going to move on to the next question, but my mother was visiting earlier. I bought a house recently. I think a couple people in the chat know that in our Discord, so that's why I was kind of absent for a while. I'm trying to get back to people on Discord, but earlier I was like, hey, I got my speakers set up. You know, I'm a big on sound and music gear, and I turned them up as loud as they would go. And I sat in my chair and my mother looked at me and she was like, your eyes are vibrating. So it was pretty loud. And that's all I was thinking about while you guys were talking about that. Charles Lehner, how is the great CLRL, solar? I don't know what you mean. How is the great circle sailing possible on a flat Earth model? Is that what he means?
Right. Yeah. It's like look. You can navigate around a plate, right? Like think about it. The Gleason's map is the most accurate map we have. Magnetic declination proves this. There's no magnetic declination on the Gleason's map. All right. So the map is it can be flat and circular, right? You know what's funny? When I posted I was gonna do this debate, one of my friends from high school commented and was like, the earth is a triangle, right? That's what he said. The earth is a triangle. I'm like, bro, think about it. A triangle has flat sides. All right. So that's why I specifically specified that the surface of the earth is flat. Now that doesn't mean that what the overall shape is. We don't know what the overall shape is. We don't. I mean, maybe they do, but they have not disclosed it to us. So the surface is flat and it could be circular. You can circumnavigate around a plate.
Okay, that's what that was. Thank you so much for interpreting that. Any thoughts from you there, Leo, before we move on?
No.
Okay. All right. Let's keep going there. Thanks everybody for your super chats. Keep them coming in. We appreciate them. And yeah, there's a lot of lively stuff going on in the chat right now. Behave yourselves. I'm watching. Witsit Gets It says, there is a fringe shift. Witsit Gets It. Hey buddy, how's it going? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll leave it there. There is a fringe shift detected in MMX, and it's since been proven to increase with altitude. Isn't this impossible in the heliocentric model?
Absolutely. My bad. That was for Leo.
Well, none of that's been done. So, I mean, they just quote like obscure papers that have not been, repeated from people who are desperately trying to still show that Einstein was wrong for some sort of fame and glory. But no, that none of that's real. That's not how it works.
Leo, you're completely uninformed about the subject. I like I said, I
You
look
can say
forward
that.
to one day.
Fine.
I look forward to one day being the embodiment, like they say I am, of ignorance is bliss, and just believe stuff because people say it. And real quick, I just want to shout out Witsit. I want to shout out Witsit because a lot of the quotes, right, that I was looking for this debate, he literally just had them all laid out for me. You know what I mean? So a lot of the quotes, right, and a lot of the scientific consensus that is being hidden, I was able to get that from a lot of Witsit's videos. So I really do want to thank him for putting a lot of that work together, because he literally has over 300, something like that, quotes of different scientists and physicists agreeing with all the stuff that I knew before I even heard of flat Earth. I just knew this because I used to watch Lawrence Krauss. And so Witsit has a lot of these quotes and a lot of this information organized for the people that really want to seek truth, So flat earther or globe earther or not, you should want to know what's true. You know what I mean? And if you don't want to know what's true, that's fine. Check out of the conversation, but don't be arrogant with us who still want to figure out what's going on.
Yeah. Did you have any thoughts there, Leo, before we move on?
I just wanted to say that everything I'm saying is corroborated by all of the textbooks in physics in all the libraries at all the universities around the world. All of the lecture series that you can take in physics taught by people with PhDs who have been doing research for decades in the field comport with the things that I have said here tonight about physics, and all of the research that you can find is going to comport with it as well. So people can say that I'm wrong and I don't understand it and it's all a conspiracy to cover up the truth, but I feel I'm in good company.
I just want to, just real quick, last word on that. That was just literally just one big appeal to authority, and all the evidence.
No, it wasn't.
All the evidence agrees with the experiments that I've shown today. You know what I mean? So you can say that, but it doesn't make it true. And you saying that all the textbooks, all the lecture, all the PhDs, not only is that not true, right? But even if it is true, that doesn't mean that what you're saying is valid. It's an invalid argument.
No, it means what I'm saying is more than likely to be true for anybody using a solid Bayesian reasoning.
All. That violates.
Well, it does. See, you didn't even hear the full thing that I said, because I didn't just say that. I said it does if somebody is using like Bayesian reasoning, like most people do, particularly in science. That if all of the experts who have taken the graduate level courses and literally do the research are all comporting to the same conclusion, then what that means is that the likelihood of that conclusion being true, given that all of the experts agree with it, is more likely than the probability of it being false, given that all of the experts agree with it. So, I mean, it's really just simple Bayesian reasoning. And I feel comfortable with that. I didn't make any sort of argument from authority, because I didn't say anything is right because some expert said so. I said I'm comfortable with the fact that the things that I'm saying comport well with the consensus of modern physics.
You're comfortable with your current religion, and that's great. And I do agree.
I don't have a religion. I don't worship a deity.
I'll let you finish. I do agree that it's more likely, if everybody agrees, it is more likely, but that's not scientific. That's not scientific. Science. Remember,
I didn't say it was.
Scientific method, observation, experiment. Let's not make it complicated for everybody, because you guys are having a hard time.
We do use Bayesian reasoning in science all the time.
Observation, experiment. That's it. If it's not that,
and we use
scientific.
And Bayesian reasoning.
Negative.
I mean, some people might still.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Do you even know what Bayesian reasoning is?
I know what the scientific method is. Observation.
That's not what I asked you. Do you know what Bayesian reasoning is? This is a
conversation about science and the scientific method, brother.
No, so you think that Bayesian reasoning isn't related to science?
I think for the purpose of this conversation,
every fucking single day.
Listen, I don't know if you know who Jesse Lee Peterson is, right? But
he's not relevant to the
discussion. Well, I'm gonna tell you why.
I'm gonna tell you why. What he has to say.
Let me respond how I respond. All right. All right, Jesse Lee Peterson, right? He emailed me and said he might be watching this today. And just for everybody knows, Jesse Lee Peterson is black and slow. He's black and slow. So we can't make it more complicated than the average person.
I don't care about Jesse Lee
Peterson,
do
all that.
so I'm not
For
going
the purpose
to do
of this
that. Why
conversation,
is this
the
relevant?
scientific method is observation and experiment. Do not confuse the people into thinking that there are all these other things that are
Well,
supposed
the scientific method is
we're
much
trying to
more
make
nuanced
scientific
than
inquiry.
that.
Huh?
And we also have to do things like, data analysis. Like you can't do science
Well,
without
that-
data
well, that's-
analysis.
well,
And
the
see,
data
this
is
is where
supposed to come from
probability and
observation.
statistics come into play, which are extraordinarily important
That's
in science,
math. That's
particularly
math.
in
Okay,
physics,
that's math
which
now.
you use
That's a red herring. You're
all the
talking about
time
math.
in science.
That's
You
a red
can't
herring.
do physics. You can't do physics without math. So there's no
Well,
red herring there.
but
Just
we
like
can
you
do
can't do
scientific
science
experiments
without
without math.
probability,
We can do
statistics,
scientific
and data
experiments without math.
analysis, in which the primary method that is used is Bayesian reasoning, and then the second one would probably be frequentism. You're sitting
Right,
here
right.
claiming to act
Hey,
like you
shout
understand
out your
science, but
philosophy.
you really
Hey, that's your
don't seem.
philosophy.
You
Great.
really don't seem.
That's your philosophy.
You really don't seem to have a strong understanding of the actual methods that are used by scientists.
I do.
In
No.
laboratories every day.
I do. But don't.
But you're denying that they use
Okay, well, let me
probability,
respond.
that they use
Let me
statistical
respond, Leo.
reasoning,
Leo.
that they use data analysis.
Leo, let me
Just
respond.
one second,
Let me
Ross.
respond, Leo.
Let him
Leo,
finish his thought
let me
there.
respond. All right, I got you. Relax. I know you're excited. I'm cooking like a motherfucker right now. All right, listen, Leo.
Okay, well, let you
Stop
wrap up
confusing
there,
people
Ross.
with all these other words. All right, that's what I'm saying.
I'm not
Linguistics,
confusing
Leo.
anybody.
Leo, I'm
Maybe
talking.
you.
Just
Leo,
1 second.
Leo,
Leo.
I'm talking.
We'll give him
Shut
15.
the fuck up, please.
Just
all
1
right?
second.
I will let you talk when you talk. I'll let you talk. I'm writing notes. Look, I got my
Spicy.
notebook this time. All right.
All right, you got 30 seconds. All right,
You're trying to confuse
this is fun.
the people by obfuscating, right? So that way people think that what you're saying is true because now they just stop listening because you're confusing them. Let's make it simple, Leo. We can all agree that the scientific method.
I can dumb it down for you.
Leo.
10 seconds.
Come on, Leo. I know. Trigger like a motherfucker. Listen, the scientific method is observation and experiment. All right. My 5-year-old son is watching right now. He can't understand all that other bullshit you're talking about. He understands observation and experiment. Let's keep it right there. If you can't say it to where an average person can understand it, I'm sorry, Leo, you don't understand it yourself. If you can't say
That's
it
false.
to where anybody can understand it, you don't understand it.
30 seconds for
No,
you
that's
there,
not
Leo.
true.
That's 100% true.
30 seconds there, Ross.
It's not true. I couldn't explain to a 6-year-old effective field theory, not because I don't understand it. I understand it pretty well,
25.
but because it
Still has
requires.
23.
So you don't know
So-
what effective field theory is. You've made that quite clear. But the thing is, it requires so much background knowledge that is already beyond what a 6th grader understands with respect to basic mathematics. Before you get to moderate, intermediate mathematics, then you get into the advanced stuff, and then you start getting into the really advanced stuff. 6-year-old doesn't understand that, and to walk them through all that is going to take all those years of schooling. So we're going to have to wait until they're at an adequate level of already baseline understanding
I know.
before we can
Great
teach
cop
people
out.
more
That's a
complicated
great cop out.
concepts.
That's a
So
great
it's
cop
just
out.
not actually true that if you can't teach it to anybody, you don't understand it yourself. Because
I know you want that not to be
the problem
true.
there is
but
what
it's
that
true.
does
That
is
is
it puts
time.
the burden entirely on the other person,
On the teacher.
rather than rather than on the person you're trying to educate
Alright.
to already have some baseline
All right, you gotta let Ross
understanding
respond.
of the
Uh,
point.
Yeah,
But that
no,
wasn't even
the onus
really
is
like the
always on
actual
the teacher,
point that I
Leo.
wanted to get
Leo,
to. That
the
was
onus
just-
is always on
I'm
the
sorry.
teacher.
Just
alright?
if you
I'm
can hold it
sorry.
for 1
If
second, there we
you
go.
listen, if you read something right, but you can't explain it simply, you just read it. You just memorized it. That's it. There's a difference between reading and reading comprehension. All right. When I took my SAT scores, I did terrible on almost every subject except reading comprehension. My reading comprehension scores were so high that I got automatic entrance into Ivy League schools, even though my grades were bad. You know why? Because I know how to read things and understand them, whether I memorize them or not. Leo, you struggle with reading comprehension, or you're just
No, I
dishonest.
don't.
think
I
that.
scored a 35 in reading comprehension on the ACT. That's one away from the highest score. My standardized test scores.
Well, it's
for
not
for
showing right
reading
now, Leo.
comprehension-
Leo, it's not
reading
showing right now.
comprehension was
You're having
always
a
one of
hard
the
time
highest I
understanding
scored on
basic concepts.
alongside science. I'm not
Basic-
understanding.
Just 1 second,
I
Leo.
think what's
Basic
going on.
children's
Just 1
level
second,
logic,
Leo.
I think
you
what's
cannot
going on
understand.
here-
Leo, it's technically his last 10 seconds. I'm so sorry, Leo. Just hold your thought. I'm so sorry, buddy. Just because there's too much cross
I'm proud
thought.
of you, Leo. And I'm proud of you. I stand corrected on the ACT scores, right? But you're not showing your reading comprehension skills right now because you don't understand children's level logic. You don't understand what a false cause
That's
is.
the guy who
You
didn't
understand what a
know
slippery
what
slope
the
is.
material.
You don't understand how to
conditional
shut the
was.
fuck up and let somebody finish, right? Nigga, that's what I'm saying. you're at
10
a place
seconds.
where you memorize a lot of stuff, and your confidence in life comes from you
There's a lot of
feeling like you know more
projection
than other
going
people.
on.
But it's not
Look,
about
if you don't understand the things
memorize
I'm saying,
other
just
stuff.
say
It's about
so.
being able. It's about being able to take what you know.
Don't blame the audience for not
Simply,
understanding what
gotta
you're
listen.
not understanding.
You can't talk and listen at the same time. All right. It's about being able to take what you know, something complicated, and break it down simply so that the average person can understand it. Because what good is science if it doesn't help the average person, Leo? It's no good. It's no good.
We got to let Leo
Make it
respond,
plain
so
for everyone.
we're going to give another minute over to
I don't
Make
know
it plain,
what
player.
that has to do. But I think what's going on here is just a lot of projection. He keeps saying the scientific method is observation and experiment. Like very simplistically, those are important aspects to science, but that's not entirely what the methodologies we used are. There is no science without things like statistical reasoning, statistical analysis,
Making that
data
up.
analysis, particularly in the modern world of computation. So it's I
Computation is
find
math.
it very interesting
Still
that
has
anybody
33
who knows
seconds.
anything about science knows that all of it includes heavy mathematics, particularly the hard sciences like chemistry and physics, number one, but that also number two, statistical analysis and data analysis are fundamental features to parsing out data and making better
seconds.
determinations about things going into the future with respect to science. So, and then I keep getting told, just to find a point, that I don't understand this and I don't understand that. But then when I ask him basic questions about these subjects, like what's the material, conditional, and logic, he doesn't know, but I do. But somehow I'm the one struggling here.
Leo, you're just repeating stuff that you read somewhere. All right. You saying you know something is not the same as having memorized something in a book. All right.
All right.
That's number one. Number two, shout out Jesse Lee Peterson. All right.
Things that you
in the crowd
memorize,
watching.
no.
Listen, Jesse's watching. Jesse's black and slow. All right. So all
I don't care.
all that
does this have
long
to do
diatribe that
with
you just
anything?
went on, bro. I understand what you're saying. Let me boil it down for you. Listen, we
have
don't
to
really
move on, but yeah, I'll give
I
you the
want-
last
I-
word here because I think this is for you.
we don't
It was for
really.
you. It was actually
All right.
for Leo. Sorry, but yeah, go ahead. 15
Go ahead,
seconds.
my bad.
Oh no, I said I'm sorry. That was for you.
Oh,
Ross.
okay, yeah.
Yeah. 15 seconds,
The point
and
of
we'll move
everything
on.
that you just said is that we don't really know. We come up with mathematical models that might explain what we're seeing, but that's math, though. All right, science, like I said, Jesse Lee Peterson, black and slow, observation, experiment. Anybody that comes
How do
in
you
the
quantify
science,
those observations?
anybody that comes in the name of science and they're not talking about observations, they're not talking about experiments, they are trying to trick you, or they are religious zealots like Leo, like Mark.
Well, I can't be a religious zealot because I don't believe in any deities. Religion
You
requires
believe in the deities of the people who
worship.
wrote the books that
Question
you
was
read.
for Leo, so we're gonna let Leo close it.
Religion requires systematic worship of a deity. I don't do that. I just understand the basic scientific methodologies.
I know.
Don't worry there.
You like to simplify it because you don't understand it at any higher of a level,
I know.
and that's why you're projecting.
Don't worry, Ross. I think we're gonna come full circle on this. So
Oh yeah, no, we're good. We can move on.
we spent a lot of time on that one, but
Yeah.
I knew this day would come. When I first started Modern Day Debate, that I would. I should have worked on it, but I'm gonna try it for the first time. Amazing! All right.
Amazing.
All right, let's try. I feel regretful now that I didn't work on that better. All right, LJ says, how were eclipses predicted before the globe invention? For you, Leo.
I don't know. I don't really care.
All right, I want to comment real quick. Just the actual definition of religion is the belief and worship of a superhuman, right, or whatever, right. So when you take words that somebody else said and you give that person reverence, right, like let's say authority, right. Let's use the word authority. When you look at somebody in a state of reverence or authority over you, that's you worshiping them. And if you take what they say
it's not.
blindly without seeing it yourself, you're believing in it. All right. So by definition, the people that you are like whatever, because you just use the word physicist and scientist like randomly as if that's a person or something, whatever it is that you believe in or that you're quoting, that's your deity. All right. You believe in that. You don't check them on it. All right. You don't see what experiments contradict or go with it. So you just go with it. And you're like, and you literally said it a few times. I'm fine with that. I'm okay with, I get it. You're okay with that. And I'm sorry to break it to you because this is a hard moment for you to realize, but you're in a religious cult. All right. Yes. I know it's tough. All right. Just look at yourself in the mirror, shed a tear if you need to, but we got to
I'm not in a religion or a cult. You just don't know what these words mean. You're just like pulling shit out of your ass.
Definition. I mean, good. This is your God.
Google.
Yeah,
and it comported.
This is your Google God, right?
I don't know what you mean by that. But
your
the definition
you read
comported. The definition you read comported with what I said.
All right. Before I ask this next super chat there, fellas, I just want to ask if either of you have any time constrictions this evening, just because I know we are moving.
I mean, I would prefer to be out of here before 10 o'clock.
What is it now at your time?
9:20.
Oh, okay. So in about 40 minutes. Okay. Well, I'll do a little bit of math here to see how long we should spend with each super chat. It's looking probably about 2 minutes each. So yeah, if you want to get your last super chats in, everybody, we'll try to get around to all of these. Forte for $5 says, Ross, are you planning on pursuing litigation against YouTube algorithm for making you into a flat earther?
Well, that's a great question. No, I'm not a flat earther, right? I'm not claiming that the shape of the earth is flat. The surface is flat. But like I said earlier, my brother and a good friend of mine named Brian Cade, go stream his music. They were trying to get me to look at flat earth for a long time because they already knew what I believed in. And then when they watched the flat earth videos, they were explaining the stuff that I already knew about the world, like how everything is, electromagnetic frequencies, right? About how, our thoughts literally affect the world as we see it, right? Things like that are basically apparent within the flat earth, philosophy and scientific experiments. So I honestly rejected the whole thing totally. But then when I started watching these debates, right, I'm like, I think one of the first debates I might have watched, Leo, is your debate with Witsit. And I watch Witsit. I'm like, all right, fine. This guy has a good case, all scientific evidence. Then I watch you, and you're like, well, for years we've always known this, and I can't believe anybody would reject it. And it's like, so do you read scientific journals at all? Or like, are you just trying to shield for the other side and trying to make flat Earth look stupid, or are you trying to make globe Earth look stupid by looking so dumb? I literally, I swear to God, the first time that I saw on this platform, I'm like, I honestly had no idea that all the people defending the globe were on the opposite side of science. I thought the flat earthers were the ones denying science. But when I watch these debates, I realized that it's the globe earthers that are actually the ones denying science. You know what I mean? So I don't consider myself to be a flat earther. I'm a person that only believes in the scientific method. And I've always known what is going on with the earth before.
You don't know about the methodologies of science, like statistical analysis and data analysis, Bayesian reasoning, frequentism. You probably don't know anything about scientific computing either, which is usually taught to graduates in this modernized computational day and age.
Amazing.
All right. Well, let's carry on there, guys. Like I said, I've done up the questions here, and we're gonna try to keep to around 2 minutes per question. So sorry if your question doesn't get expounded on as much as some of the earlier ones, but that's why we always advise you get them in early. Let's keep it going here, guys. Heracles, sorry. Leo, why did you have to take velocity into account to keep GPS satellites in sync if there's no preferred direction of light?
Because that's where you get the time dilation from. There's time dilation from the differences in gravity, and there's time dilations from the differences and length contractions in velocities as well, because GPS satellites are moving quite quickly. And so all of those have to be compiled so that we can understand like how this is actually changing, so that our clocks can make the proper adjustments and we don't, lose the ability to navigate around the planet, planet that is spherical, because that's how gravity works. One of the most confirmed. In fact, I should say, general relativity has never failed any prediction it's ever been put to. It has passed every test, every time.
Oh my God, Leo. This is why I say you have no reading comprehension. I literally told you the two observations that took place where they had to change the theory of general relativity.
I've addressed both of those more than once.
But Leo, that is an instance where it failed. How could you then say it's never failed?
They didn't fail.
Reading comprehension, Leo, linguistics.
It didn't fail.
Stop changing the English language. Fail means fail. We made a prediction that didn't work. Stop changing the English language, all right?
No,
that's what it means.
That's not true. That's not true. Dark matter doesn't disconfirm general relativity. Dark matter in fact works. Dark matter it has been confirmed through the gravitational anomalies that we've measured.
You can't use
like the one that I mentioned
earlier
with respect to the collisions
that the law of non-contradiction
clusters with that you see with galactic clusters, and how most of the mass just passes right through and doesn't shock and slow. That's the dark matter that we're seeing. We're watching the dark matter move, and it's inert. It doesn't interact with itself even.
Leo.
So I mean, I've addressed this multiple times. Like he's just
You're addressing it fallaciously.
the same things, and then claiming I'm committing fallacies, and then can't
No.
show how.
Every point you make is an invalid argument. You haven't made one valid argument this whole day.
That's a claim. That's a claim.
I've been calling out the fallacies as they've been happening.
You've been claiming I've been committing them. Yes.
All right, we're gonna move on.
He's been claiming I've been committing fallacies. That's about as far as
you don't understand the law of non-contradiction or the principle of identity.
Last thoughts for Leo here on this question. We're moving on because it was for you, Leo. Did you have any other things to say, or did you want to just carry?
Well, the law of non-contradiction isn't relevant here, nor is the principle of identity, which I'm not sure. Man, because I know some metaphysicians, they're a little iffy on the principle of identity, but I'd probably accept it.
Oh man!
And then the law of non-contradiction is also rejected by certain logicians. Like there's logicians that hold the various non-classical objects. Dialetheism. Dialetheism is
what authority are we appealing to?
Like Graham Priest, who's a dialetheist and one of the world's foremost logicians. So even the law of non-contradiction is not like set in stone. All right, fine.
Leo. All right, question, Leo.
But here's the guy that knows more than I do about logic.
Leo, I got a question.
Okay, all right, just hold on. You got a question, Ross. I'll let you ask it, and then we're gonna carry on.
All right, question.
We only got a few minutes left. Well, I shouldn't say a few minutes, but our time is up for that question.
And reasoning with contradictions. Is that possible?
It might be. It depends on the framework for logic that you're looking at. Like I mentioned, there's non-classical logics like dialetheism, where things like the certain of the classical logical laws are not given as holding. Like it's funny because he's giving off this impression like he knows more about this. He's better read.
Laughing, Leo,
but he doesn't even know about.
Leo, I'm just laughing. Logic.
It's really strange. And what's even funnier is he didn't know what the material conditional was, which I learned like on the second day in an intro to formal logic course, of which I've taken two.
I will let you know.
If you can explain how it's relevant, I would know what it means too, and then we could both learn. Don't flex your knowledge over me. Teach me, Leo. I want to look. If I don't know something, teach it to me so we can learn together. That's what I'm doing to you. When you experience a fallacy, I explain it to you because I want you to learn so we can have a better conversation. I don't want to beat you in an argument. I want you to have valid arguments so that way our arguments can come against each other and we can build the strongest argument from the two. That's my goal. Not like, just to be funny.
5 seconds.
I want to actually know what's true.
All right. Last thoughts to Leo. I'm sorry, Ross. If I'll put you on mute if you start again. We got to move on to the next question. Did you have any final thoughts on the question from Heracles?
No.
All right. Witzik gets it. $4.99. Relativity claims space-time has physical properties, which is a reification fallacy. Can a conceptual privatation have physical properties?
Space-time isn't conceptual, and it's not a reification fallacy either. He uses that. I don't think he understands what that is. So
can you explain what it is? Can you explain it to us right now?
You know what? Let's be strict about this.
His question. All right, 1 second, Ross. This is his
fallacy,
question. So sorry.
And let's go to an actual university page if I can fucking find one, and actually define what that's not what I'm looking for. That's not at all what I'm looking for. You know what? There we go. That's what I wanted. Where did it go? Where did it just fucking go? Now I'm gonna get mad.
It's all good.
I just want to say somebody in the chat said Ross is black kryptonite. That is a fact. I'm like, you should see me out in the world. I'm like, I am everybody's worst nightmare. It's like you can't out black me. You can't out information me. If you say I don't know something, I'll say you're right. I don't know. I'm not arrogant in my information. That's why I'm always right. You know why? Because I'm not arrogant. I'm this confident because there's no arrogance in me. None.
There you go, Ryan James. He noticed you in the live chat there.
So that was Ryan.
But anyway, to respond to the question, space-time is physical. We've measured that it's physical, so I don't understand.
Right. Well, let's move on.
That's why he says it's a reification. Because he asked you, well, you said we don't know what reification fallacy is, right? It's the same thing that I said when you said
ambiguity when an abstraction is
Leo, I got you. Leo, let me finish. Leo, I got you. Let me finish, and then you can go.
I thought the question was for me.
Hold on, it is for you.
I thought it was a sentence
for me.
Yeah,
I was right in the middle of a sentence.
It is.
I can't finish my sentence.
Hold on, Ross. You were in the middle of a sentence, so I'm going to give you, like I said, 10 seconds. Ask your question. We do have to move on though because we are running low on time. So, 10 seconds. Try to get the question out.
When you use the word gravity, when I ask you how do you know about gravity, that's a reification fallacy. You're saying, oh, we know that gravity exists because blah 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 gravity. That's reification. Circular.
I never said blah 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 gravity. I don't know what you're talking
I think we
about.
need to move on from there, gents. So sorry.
Can I at least reiterate what the fallacy is, since I doubt anybody heard that, so that people actually know what it is?
We'll do that,
It's
and
a
then
fallacy.
we'll move on.
A fallacy of ambiguity when an abstraction is treated as if it were a concrete, real event or physical entity.
All right.
But space-time is an
what you did.
abstraction.
All right, Ross.
So,
The next one's for you.
so he's assuming that it's an abstraction when it's not, because it does have physical properties that we can measure.
All right. The next question is for you there, Ross. So I'm going to ask you to come off the mute there. Yeah, he's having a great time.
You're good.
That's the main thing, is that we're having fun. Stupid Horror Energy Biden-Harris 2024 says, experiments that detect dark matter are conducted shielded from cosmic rays and electromagnetic interference, which includes an absence of light.
Okay. How, right? My question is, how can they detect it if it doesn't interact with our light spectrum? What do they use to detect it? And if you use an equation, right, and they're basically assuming it's there based upon missing particles, that's a false cause. So you're basically, it's a reification fallacy. You're just assuming that is the cause just because it works mathematically. All right. So you're gonna have to show.
But that's what you want. I thought you said you understood science. You want things that are mathematically consistent, particularly with what
Why are you
what we
confusing
already
math
know.
and science? Why are you
I'm not.
confusing math and science?
Can I ask you, how is something like velocity represented in physics?
It's by an equation.
Yes, by math. Do you know what
Right.
velocity is in physics?
I mean, like if I had it, yeah, like not off the
The
top of my
first derivative
Off the top of my head, no.
the first derivative of speed the first derivative of position with
Okay.
respect to time.
Okay.
Which is
What's your point?
That's calculus, which is math. My point being, you cannot do
20 seconds for
physics
you,
without
Ross.
mathematics.
Okay, but this is the thing though. Just because you come up with an equation, if it doesn't have any bearing on real life, then it's just random math. So you're right, math can help
And they
with
do.
science and physics, but math is not science. Math is not physics.
I don't think anybody said that.
You
I
did.
haven't.
You're conflating
No,
that.
I didn't.
You're conflating the
No,
two.
I'm not.
You're very
No, I'm
slick
not.
with your words.
All
But I
right,
caught-
gents, we're
I'm
going to
not
move on to the
doing
next
that.
question. We're getting to the end of our timer here, and like I said, I want to try to time it out so we can get to more super chats if they do manage to pop in. So we're going to try to move on when we get to an impasse, like I think we just did. Kango 44, Ross, the confidence on display about relativity when you have learned everything from flat Earth memes. I don't know if that's very relevant there, Congo. So maybe we should move on.
Just
not
quick comment,
entertain
like I said, I knew, right, that relativity had been debunked, that everything was electrostatic before I had watched even one flat Earth video. Matter of fact, the guys in my life that are flat earthers, that's why they tried to introduce me to it, because they know that I already know that. Because I watch people like Lawrence Krauss, and even though he doesn't agree with it, he has to at least acknowledge what the data shows. So that's how I know what the data is, because I look at the people on the other side. I cross-reference. I want to see what both sides are saying, then I come to my own opinion.
Okay, any thoughts there, Leo, or do you want to move on? All right, so Witsa gets it. Leo, if light is a particle like you claimed, can you explain the quantum Venn diagram paradox? This indisputably refutes the photonic framework.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've taken 2 courses in quantum mechanics through MIT OpenCourseWare, and quantum Venn diagram paradox wasn't mentioned, so I'm assuming it doesn't mean anything.
Wow. Textbook appeal to authority. My God didn't tell me it's not
Whose authority did I appeal to?
or your textbook. It didn't see it in my textbook.
What textbook did I appeal to?
The one they gave you at school, the government textbook. JD Rockefeller.
What textbook
J.D.
was given to
Rockefeller's
me?
the guy.
What textbook was given to
JD
me at school?
Rockefeller. JD Rockefeller.
What textbook was given to me at school?
Whatever one you're talking about.
See, exactly. You're just pulling shit out of your
What you're
ass.
doing right now is a red herring. You're appealing to authority. That's it.
No,
Don't
I'm
get
not.
mad. You're
Well,
appealing to
red
authority.
herring appealing to authority. Why are you jumping all over the place? Neither of which.
Why are you jumping all over the place? You're the one that's
I'm not
doing the
jumping
red
all over
herring.
the place.
You're the one that's appealing to authority. I'm just calling it out.
I'm not.
I will let
doing
you
that.
know, Ross, your mic is clipping right now.
Oh, it might be too. It's because I'm yelling.
Yeah, yeah, I was gonna say the passion's great, but yeah, just to keep in mind,
So,
just to
can I
back it away before you hit the high
make another
notes.
point on Witzit's question?
Sure
So
thing.
I just Googled quantum Venn diagram paradox, and the first thing I get from Wikipedia is Bell's theorem, which does not reject, that doesn't disagree. That's like the basis of how we do quantum mechanics. Well, Bell's
Google.
theorem plays into the how we do quantum mechanics. It shows that like localism isn't really true, with things like entanglement, and it shows that there are certain local hidden variables theories that do not work with modern physics. But other than that, I mean, I don't know what he's talking about. And disproving photonics, I don't really know what he means by photonics. I don't know if he knows what he means by photonics, but none of this does anything to append quantum electrodynamics.
All right,
It actually does. Since you don't know about it, you should go read about it and shout out.
You do not know anything about Bell's theorem.
I know
I've read
I know about
papers
it. He
from
knows about
John
it. He
Stuart
asked the
Bell.
question.
all right.
And I
He
knew about it way
doesn't know
before
anything
flat
about
Earth.
Bell's
Trust
theorem
me.
either.
All right, the next one's
Because
coming
neither of you
in.
knows
I'm
anything
gonna
about the philosophy of
I'm gonna read the next question there, guys. We're gonna push it along here. I got the timer going off. So thanks so much for your super chat.
Shout out Google.
Witsit, and we'll carry on. Honestly, Witsit, I was gonna mention earlier, but I was padding already too much and saying too many things. Met him at DebateCon. Really cool guy. Came up, gave him a hug. Chit chatted with him. Really chill. Thanks for participating at Modern Day Debate. We appreciate you here. Big Thang Flying Wayne says all flurfs are Bible thumpers pretending to have conversations about science. They are all insincere. Make fun of them, please. Well, as much as I love you, Big Thang Flying Wayne, I would say let's try not to make fun of anybody, but have great conversations. But let's move back.
At-home fallacy, genetic fallacy.
Well, just wait just 1 second there, Russ. What I'm going to do with this question, just because I really have a thing, I really enjoy Big Thang Flying Wayne. So I will try to get something out of this. Some people have made super chats in the past saying about how it boils down to biblical conversation. So is that anything that you guys might want to talk about as far as the flat Earth versus globe model goes, or is that something we want to just avoid for this conversation?
How about right? I was reading. Can you say it one more time?
So he's accusing all flat earthers are Bible thumpers. So that was the quote. So I'm trying to nice it up a little bit.
The Bible specifically. Well, I'm not religious at all. Like I said in my first debate, I'm completely anti-religious. Notice that I did not quote one scripture. I don't give a fuck what the Bible has to say about the earth. I don't care about what Leo's Bible has to say about the earth. Any Bible, all right? Which to me,
I don't have a Bible.
I'm using it in. It's just any written word that people believe in with no proof. If you believe in words with no proof, then that's your Bible, okay? So I don't believe in no words with no proof. I believe in experiments.
Science I believe in has mounds of experiments backing it up.
Well, you didn't show any because in my presentation, I started off with all experiments. That's all I did.
Yeah.
Experiment after experiment after experiment.
Leo,
maybe next time.
Leo, your feed seems to be lagging on my end.
The good Lord didn't want them lies to get out. He's like, stop lying and saying they have experiments.
Just hold on there, Russ. Leo, are you still able to hear us? I think Leo may have crashed out. So let's just give this a second, guys, and see if Leo buffers back in.
Yes. I think I might be going in and out.
Yes, you are. We lost you for a bit. You're rising slowly. It's a little bit creepy, actually. Oh, it just frame skipping that. That was a bit strange. Gotta love the internet.
Put a button on that. I'm not a Christian. I'm not religious. I don't read the Bible anymore. I did grow up religious. I haven't opened the Bible in years.
All right, let's move on, everybody. Yeah, my internet was down the other day too. We had about a foot of snow here, and it was really heavy too. It was the type that froze on top. So if you were barehanded, it would just cut your hands open. It sucked. Stupid Horror Energy, Biden Harris 2024 says, "What's it? The term quantum Venn diagram paradox, in quotes, isn't a standard or recognized concept in physics. Learn quantum mechanics."
My daddy didn't tell me that it's true, and so it must not be true. I literally said, like, I swear to God, Einstein himself could build a time machine, come back. You could watch him come back to the future. You could literally watch it, and people like Leo, they would be like, "Where's your peer-reviewed paper? I didn't see it in my textbook." Oh yeah. Well, where did it say that in my textbook? You guys don't respect experiments. You don't respect observations.
What?
You respect paper. You worship.
I love how these flat earthers always know how we would respond and what we know better than us.
Based on how you're responding right now.
And that's because they say all that stuff.
Yes.
They say all that stuff.
Pattern recognition.
They say all that stuff. They say all that stuff because they don't actually have good responses to the point. But
I thought that was a good response.
Is in fact pointing out something that Witsit is using like really old, outdated terminology purposefully to try to confuse people, because the whole point is really to just confuse and obfuscate the discussion, so it looks like he knows what he's talking about when it's quite clear that he doesn't. So that's a good observation you made there. Stupid whore energy.
Right. Every time you say
and one I've noticed quite frequently.
Yeah, so modern day debate classic, if you will, right? What have I done? I pushed my hair to the wrong side. There we go. That's better. All right. Heracles says, Leo, what is buoyancy, if not a repellent force?
Yeah, it's a repellent force that results from the structure of something sitting in some sort of medium, but it's a force that repels against gravity, which is why gravity is in the equation. Earth's gravitational acceleration is in the equation for determining buoyancy.
You could change gravity to electrostatic. The equation actually works much better than.
No, you can't. Einstein's field equations can't be described electromagnetically because they're not electromagnetic equations. They're field equations.
Catch up to scientific consensus.
They're tensor equations.
Scientific consensus.
I'm gonna listen to somebody who doesn't know what a tensor is. That makes a lot of sense when it comes to
genetic fallacy.
Yeah.
It's a genetic fallacy.
It's not a genetic fallacy.
It's a genetic fallacy, literally.
All right.
What's a genetic fallacy?
It means
no. I want him to answer this question.
Go
What's
ahead.
A genetic fallacy.
You're criticizing something, saying that it must not be true because it came from a source that you feel like is incredible. I mean, I pulled that off out of my ass. I didn't Google it. Leo, by the way, I didn't Google that. You know why? Because I already knew it. I read before people ask me.
Oh, I already know almost everything that I Google. I Google it so that people can trust me and know that I am being honest when I
don't trust you because you look on Google.
But you didn't properly define what a genetic fallacy is. A genetic fallacy is committed when one attempts to discredit or disprove an idea because of the source of the idea. Or you can have, and this isn't just like with claims, this is like with general ideas. And the common example given is that when people criticize wearing wedding rings,
you had it right the
pointing
first
out
time
that they were meant to symbolize like being chained into marriage. Well, that might have been where they originated, but that doesn't have any bearing on their use.
Oh, you're obfuscating right now.
So that would be an example. So that would be an example. So that would be an example. So that would be an example of a genetic fallacy.
Okay. All right. You just obfuscated. You took what I said.
I don't think you know what that
word for word.
Is.
And you all you did was you said it longer to make it seem like what I said was wrong. You stop doing that. All right, you're not slick. You're not slick.
What's wrong?
No, I literally said you're trying to discredit where the information comes from because you're saying the source is incredible. Word for word, Leo. That's what I said. Were you not listening? All right, let's move on. I don't want to do you like that, Leo, because you're obviously not listening. Turn your brain on, Leo. Turn your brain on. God damn it.
All right. Well, let's carry on.
I'm the one not making arguments tonight.
And yes, to trigger warning, the snow, it becomes like this hard cake on top, and it's like really coarse. And we won't get into it. My hands are calloused enough for it. It's fine, but it's the other people in my life. I live in Nova Scotia. The weather here is rough. Let's carry on, everybody. Let's see. That was from Heracles. Kango44 says, for Ross, you said in this debate, you don't just believe what people say. So please point us to the list of experiments you have personally performed concerning gravity, relativity, Earth's rotation, and Earth's orbit that confirm your position.
Okay, well, I mean, I've never performed the experiments, right? So this is what this is where the scientific method comes in, right? So that's why I showed a diagram of how you could perform the experiment, right? I didn't say, look, somebody performed some random experiment that we don't know about, and if you want to do it, you're gonna have to get government funding to do it. No. It's easy experiment. You take the telescope, right? And you put water in the telescope, and you can do this experiment from home. You know what I mean? So I haven't done the experiment myself. If you want to prove that it's not true, it would take maybe 10 minutes for you to go do the experiment and prove otherwise. All right. So if the experiment has been ran 100 times, every time the experiment comes out the same, I don't necessarily need to do the experiment myself to have a grasp on that scientific theory. It's still a theory. Even when we run the experiment, it doesn't become a fact after that. Me showing you that the experiment
Theories are
is not
facts.
proof. Me showing you the experiment is not proof. I'm simply pointing you to where you can go find the proof for yourself should you actually want it. If you really want the proof yourself, you can go do the experiment yourself, all right? Don't get it from me. Don't take my word for it. Just like I'm not going to take anybody else's word for it, all right?
All right. Let's move on, everybody. This has been a lot of fun, and we got lots of more questions to go. And I think what we may need to do, Leo, you've got 15 minutes left, or are you feeling like you might have a little more time? Because we got quite a few more chats to get through. How you feeling, bud?
I'm probably gonna have to take off at 10 because I still gotta like run into the store. So
Okay.
I forgot to do that before the debate started.
Oh no, Leo. Responsibilities, man.
It's all good,
no,
Leo.
It's fine. I'm just picking. It's picking. I was gonna say I really miss you, man. I was gonna say it was really nice meeting you in Texas, and had a lot of fun. Let's see here. PT Collins.
I just want to say real quick, just in case Leo has to go before we get to, you know what I mean? I definitely enjoyed this, and honestly, I don't, you know what I mean? If you know what I mean, if you have the stomach for it, I would challenge you to go research a lot of the things that you're saying. Come back when you have more experiments to show, and let's see if we can get to the bottom of this thing, man. Because I want to find out what's going on for sure.
All right, let's carry on for the sake of.
I did.
Let's carry on for the sake of your
You
time.
didn't bring it today, so I mean.
I did.
1 second there, Ross. This one is actually for you, so we'll set a 1 minute timer. For Ross, given that you assert that electromagnetism is the reason that things fall, doesn't it logically follow that objects should fall at a different rate during a lightning storm? Great job, Leo, as a side note. So go ahead, 1 minute.
I don't know whose team he's really on, because I have 7 peer-reviewed articles that I pulled up that are all about that, about them monitoring how the gravitational pull of certain objects changes during lightning storms. So the person who's asking me this should go look up some peer-reviewed papers on the subject and find out what they're talking about before they arrogantly assert that they know something that they quite frankly don't know. All right. So this is, like I said, this is the basis for how we know that gravity doesn't exist the way we think it is. Because during thunderstorms, when the electromagnetic field is disturbed, gravity completely changes. Game over.
All right.
Thank you for throwing me that alley-oop.
All
so
right.
I can, yeah.
Yeah, let's carry on. We want to try to make time. What's it gets it. Removing ether alone doesn't explain the Michelson Morley. Without ether, is it ether? Ether. Your model is still required major revision, right? Hence relativistic orbit. Relativistic. Yeah, that's what he says. Okay.
They still had
sorry,
to
I want to make sure I read it right. Go ahead.
He's basically saying like they still had to change the theory of gravity. Excuse me, they still had to change all of physics after that to explain what happened. It wasn't as simple as, well, then there's no ether. No. If that was all, then why did they have to even come up with the theory of relativity?
This
you know
was
why?
From,
it didn't work. That's his
from. I'm sorry, Ross. This was from What's It Gets It. So it is for Leo. So
I just wanted to explain kind of what he meant there.
Okay. I figured just for the sake of time, we'll try to get through it. So 1 minute there, Leo, if you want to respond to that.
Yeah, it did show that there is no ether, because if there were, the Earth would have a drag through it, and that wasn't observed. They didn't make up relativity. Relativity was required because there are symmetries in electromagnetism that wouldn't exist if relativity wasn't the thing. Relativity is just a framework for understanding how things move and how things behave in space-time at very, very high speeds, or in curved space-time in the instance of general relativity. So-called because it's the more general instance. Space-time is almost always going to be curved when you're looking at it. But there are special cases where we can just treat it like it's flat and see what happens. That would be called special relativity. But they're all, I mean, it's the same thing. It's the theory of space-time and how things move in it.
All right. Well, let's carry on then. What's it gets it once again, another one for you there, Leo. Is it possible dark matter doesn't exist?
Is it possible? Yes. It's not very likely. That's why I said multiple times that the most cosmologists accept dark matter over modified gravity, because it's simpler and it better explains the observations that we make.
Except it doesn't, right? Except it doesn't, and
Yeah,
that's
it
not
does.
scientific. It's a belief,
Well, yeah, it is a belief, one that's rooted in
not
empirical
scientific. There's no belief
observations.
in science.
Yes, there is.
Mm-hmm.
Scientists believe that stars emit electromagnetic radiation. I don't think you know what a belief is. A belief is just something you take to be
You
true.
really want to do this linguistic thing with me? Like you lose this every
That
time.
was the
It's
last-
not linguistics.
going
I
there,
don't
bro.
We just
see.
ran out of
You
time.
keep trying to
not-
act like you're
Stop
some
doing this.
expert in linguistics, and you're not.
Just
And
one
then
second.
you keep trying to connect things back to it that aren't related to it.
All right, Leo, that was time for that question. Next one, we're going to try to keep it for the person that this is asked for.
Did I
Sorry,
answer
Ross.
the question?
It's all good. We got lots. Is possible that dark matter doesn't exist. So that one was for you, Leo, and we're going to try to keep it for the speaker. I would say going forward, just to get
My bad.
moving through. No, you're fine. Don't worry about it. This has been a fun discussion. Jupiter Darman says, "I invite anyone who can prove flat." Sorry, I'm going to start over. I invite anyone who can prove Earth is flat to win a Nobel Prize in science, but I'm certain there's yet another conspiracy for why that won't happen. 1 minute for you, Ross.
Okay, Charles Steinberg, Nobel Prize winner, proved right that there is an electromagnetic frequency pushing down, an electromagnetic charge pushing down on the Earth. He has a whole book about it. People use it to create C-word motors. I'm not gonna, and it's not the C word that you guys are thinking about, but the C word that's centered. Look up C-word motor, and you can see how basically everything I'm saying is backed up by Nobel Prize winner Charles Steinberg. Ah!
Let's carry on from there. Stupid Horror Energy says, it's not about the galaxy escaping, but rather about the observed rotational speed of the galaxies and the gravitational forces required to keep them bound in their current forms. 1 minute on the clock, Ross.
He's incorrect. That was in 1955. The first one is about them escaping. In 1955, it's about the speed. We can move on.
All right. Awesome. Winter gets it. Leo, can you name a specific way to falsify the universe model? Do you agree that if it is unfalsifiable, then it's practically religion, not science?
I don't know what the universe model is.
All right.
I don't know what he's referring to.
Can I just real quick? He's basically saying what I said in my first slide, which is we can never prove that the Earth is the center of the universe. We can't prove
10
that.
seconds.
That's because there is no
It's
center of the
unfalsifiable. It's unfalsifiable. It's not science. It's philosophy. At the end of the day, if you can't even admit that, then you don't understand what these words mean, which again is linguistics.
Last 20 seconds to you, Leo.
Philosophy is not linguistics.
I didn't say that.
I just don't know.
What these
I
words
just
mean.
don't. I just don't know. I just don't know what he means by the universe model.
All right.
Science doesn't really deal with unfalsifiable things anyway, so I'm not concerned about that.
All right. Let's see here. Charles Lehner says, Ross, were you and Rachel act on a break? Oh, you were on a break, right? A pivot. They're making Friends references, I'm pretty sure. You can correct me.
Hey, well, I just want to comment. As far as me and Rachel goes, I'm still in every relationship I've ever been in. So shout out Rachel.
Okay, I didn't know. Like,
no, I know. I'm just making a joke. You're talking about friends.
Good. Okay. I was gonna say, man, maybe you dated a girl named Rachel, and this is a fan. Man, I'd be right off the basket then. Winter gets it. Leo, why did you dock Ross's radio wave argument? Oh, he's accusing you of docking the radio wave argument. What do you think of that?
Docking? I don't know what that means.
Ducking.
Ducking.
He thinks that you avoided it.
Ducking
Running for your
radio
life.
wave argument?
Running for your life.
I didn't hear a radio wave argument. Radio waves don't do anything to prove a flat Earth. In fact, they prove a globe Earth because as a result of the curvature of the Earth, there's an area underneath where the radar waves are capable of going that you don't get a signal because of the curvature of the Earth and where you're located, given where the signal was emitted from. So, and this is accounted for. Militaries have to account for this when they communicate over long distances. So.
All right, let's carry on.
And given the high, and just I want to say quickly,
it's for
given
Leo,
the
Ross.
high,
Leo.
just given the high logistics that the military requires, I'm gonna trust them. You know, these people can take out people in a building. With
Sorry, Ross. Ross, there'll be another
2,000
time.
feet in the air. Like I'm gonna take their word for it.
All right.
Amazing.
This next one is for you, Ross. Okay. So yeah, there'll be another time though. This has been a lot of fun. Matters Now says, Ross, is America Marxist or fascist? How many courses did you take in university? Also, we have an after show on Matters Now. Feel free to join us. So he's asking you how many courses you took in university, and he said, is America Marxist or fascist? Two questions.
I'm gonna try hard, Ryan. I'm gonna try hard. Okay, real quick, Leo. I just want you to know that this is why I said your reading comprehension skills are not great, because I did make a whole presentation about radio waves. And
okay, just to be fair, Ross, I don't want to cut you off.
My character,
but
not making arguments.
I'm gonna pause I'm gonna pause your timer. I'm gonna give it back to you your time. But this is a question from one of the super chatters here. So Matters Now is asking a question: is America Marxist or fascist?
Okay, Marxist is not necessarily a governmental set. It's just the idea of what Marx was predicting was going to happen and how communism was going to come about. So Marx was not giving any he wasn't necessarily like giving solutions. He was just saying that if the world keeps going this way, it's going to devolve into communism. America is fascist because the government basically through the Twitter files, for example, the Twitter files prove that the government had embedded CIA individuals in big government and in big tech that were controlling our economy. So the relationship between big corporations and governmental figures is essentially fascism. So that's basically what we have here in America. The government controls big tech, and big tech controls us.
All right. I think we'll move on from there because the second part isn't entirely.
We can talk about that all year.
Relevant, and that's fine. Thank you so much for your super chat. So let's see. Meriden says, if the Earth is flat, then why do things weigh less at the equator? 1 minute on the clock.
It's not necessarily confirmed, but things weigh like I said. I have the peer reviewed papers, right, that prove that things weigh less during thunderstorms. All right, so this is proof that the weight of an object is basically determined by its electrostatic nature, or the electrostatic nature of the particles, if you believe in that are being held together. All right. So like I said, that vinograph, the example, that's why I didn't want to use the vinograph, but the example where they're using sound to levitate things, right? They're affecting the gravity by using sound, which is electromagnetic frequency, to change the field of the object. And so that affects the gravity. That's actual observations and proof that experiments that have been done with control variables that can prove that, this is the thing that's causing the effect, because we can manipulate that thing and the effect changes. You don't have an experiment with the control variable. You're just making stuff up like Leo.
Okay. I know, Leo, you said you're pressed for time, but you seem to be amused by what's happening there. So if you had any thoughts and wanted to... Yeah, I was going to say, if you have thoughts and you want to carry it on, I'm good with it, but we still have another 6 here, so, it's up to you.
Just 6 left.
Let's see. Actually, no, it's more like 10, as I refreshed it.
Jesus. Okay, how about we just cap it at that 10?
All right.
And then I could do that if we get through them, if you bang through them real quick.
All right, yeah. And if they want to keep asking questions for me after he has to leave, I don't mind, you know what I mean? But either way.
Well, I just wanted to give you a chance because, Leo, it seemed like you had some thoughts there, and I wanted to let you know that you're more than welcome to inject them.
The only thing I was going to say is, acoustic levitation changes gravity, like just being sarcastic.
Okay. All right. Let's see here. Maximilio Villa says, let's thank Witsit for being the best proof that flat earthers are obnoxious, ignorant clowns. Oh, that's not very kind.
Okay.
Who think the word salad helps their case when they do the exact opposite. Ross is another Witsit clone. Well, that's helping the conversation very much. But if you have something to say, Ross.
If we do want to learn something after Leo leaves, I'm like, tell Witsit get up here, man. Like, pull Witsit up and let's start asking him some of these questions so we can actually learn something. You know what I mean? I like listening to people that read and that aren't arrogant.
All right. Let's try to carry on. Matters Now. Ross, what are the laws of thought? And once again, another reminder, after show on Matters Now after this, and you are invited along with Leo, and Leo can answer if you can't. What are the laws of thought?
I don't know if he means the laws of logic. Is that what he's saying? The laws of logic? I don't know what
that's what I would presume.
Laws of logic, right?
Yeah.
The laws of
I'm
logic,
assuming like the
law,
three classical laws of logic.
right, the law of
Sure.
contradiction, or the law of non-contradiction, the law of excluded middle, and then the principle of identity.
There you go. Law of identity, principle of identity, law of identity. I mean,
Law of identity. Is that, I don't know what he meant by the laws of thought.
All right.
that would be that's my assumption. Is he meant the three classical laws of logic?
Yeah. Let's carry on.
Which I kept trying to bring that anyway. Move on. Yeah, my bad. Move on.
It's all good. Yeah, Wittek gets it. Literally, not one physicist thinks that it debunked gravity. Literally, tens of thousands of physicists think dark matter relativity has been debunked.
No, they don't.
You're just saying no.
I mean, they just don't. Physicists
so you're not
don't
aware of
think
that, Leo?
Hold
Leo,
on, Ross. This is for Leo.
Physicists don't think that general relativity is wrong, and certainly don't think that dark matter has disproven it.
Amazing.
That's why cosmologists are still using general relativity every single day.
Amazing.
Have been for over a century.
All right, let's carry on. Big Bad Mama, Ross, explain Aurora Borealis and Aurora Australis. Australis?
That's Big Bad Mama?
Australis.
Big Bad Mama, who has been here at Modern Day Debate since my first debate. And I really appreciate seeing Big Bad Mama. I think that was my very first super chat, actually, was a Big Bad Mama. So, Ross, explain Aurora Borealis and Aurora Australis.
Okay, well, I'm gonna because I like Big Bad Mama, right? I'm gonna start off by saying I don't know, right? And I want to take this moment to make a comment to all the people who are complaining about my last debate, right? All up in my comment section trying to say I didn't have any points or I didn't make good arguments, whatever. I just want to say I apologize to you guys about nothing except for Big Bad Mama. I apologize to nobody, right? All you guys are you guys are all my fans and I love you, right? But Big Bad Mama is the only one that's respectful and that actually stands behind what she says. You know what I mean? So nothing but love and respect for her.
I got 30 seconds to answer. Aurora Borealis.
I said I don't know. I don't know what that is. I don't know.
Okay, you don't know. Okay, all right. Samir Farsain says for $5, you study political science, and that when you learned that the government is so corrupt, what university teaches what you learned? Was it night classes?
No, I don't know if they mean what university teaches me that the government is corrupt, but you don't have to teach somebody that when you're looking at the facts. Like I said, how many times does somebody have to lie to you where you call them a liar, right? Okay, the government lied about this. Okay, cool. They lied about that. They lied about the Iraq. How many wars have they lied about just in our lifetime, right? Maybe like 8 to 10 wars in the Middle East, over 1 million Middle Easterns dead, right? Over 30,000 Americans dead, not to mention all the American soldiers that came back and committed suicide because they realized what the American government had did to the Middle East and that they were just the arm of the American military over there, basically imperialists. How many times does somebody have to do that and lie to you before you look at them like dog?
10 seconds.
I knew you was lying, dog. I knew you was lying. Right. You a liar. Okay. You are a liar. Everything that you say now is a lie. After 2 or 3 lies, that's it.
After 2 or 3, that's the limit there. That's the limit. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice. Sorry. Yeah, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Yeah, sorry, I almost got backwards. All right, Maximum Leophilius.
Easy there, George Bush.
Why do we still believe them?
I was gonna say, let's carry on. Maximilian Villa, sound is not electromagnetic energy. Ross, you are just objectively wrong. We'll leave it there, Maximilian.
Yeah, like they have no way to prove that. You're just saying that. Prove that, because we can prove that sound operates just like electromagnetic frequencies, and we can prove that everything actually comes from sound. If you look at sololuminescence, that's why I asked you, can you even repeat what you're talking about on how stars form? Because they have experiments that prove that you can form a star in a water medium using sound. Are you not aware of that, Leo? Are you not aware of that?
No,
are you not aware of that, Leo?
We've never made a star.
Read some more.
We've never made a star.
Did you have any other thoughts
there, Leo? Or sound.
Did you want to carry on?
Everything comes from sound.
Oh, Leo, you're muted. Did you have any other thoughts?
No, I'm just laughing at the everything comes from sound. That's just clearly false.
I haven't quoted the Bible one time. I will end on this one. Just the only time I'm going to mention the Bible, because I believe that the only significance of books is if they point to something that might be real. So there are certain things in the Bible that give you real information. Like it says in the beginning, right? In the beginning, there was the word. and the Word was with God, and the Word was God.
All right.
That's what the Bible says. The Word was God. Hold on. God is not some weird entity looking over you, judging you for what you do. God is in the power of your tongue. When you speak, that's the creative power of the universe. You're creating the world through your word. Everything comes from sound.
I can predict, as Leo has made a facial expression, that there will be a debate going forward about some other topics. But this has been a lot of fun. Let's see, because obviously there's more to this than meets the eye. That's going to be fun to maybe unpack someday. Free Palestine says heliosexuals love CGI. You know what, Free Palestine, we're going to move on because we have better super chats. Kango44, Ross, for somebody who says they don't just repeat stuff, you parrot Witsit a lot. I think that's already been explained.
I'm not parroting Witsit. I'm not parroting Witsit. Witsit reads a lot of the stuff that's out there. He's just basically giving you guys scientific consensus, and you don't want to accept it. Like I said, before I even heard of Flat Earth, I had heard of everything that he says to you guys. You guys are just mad because you can't defeat it.
Okay.
Don't get mad at him.
I'm sorry to cut you off, Ross, but yeah, we did already get this expounded upon, okay. So we're going to try to move on just because we do want to respect Leo's time because, he's given us this much. It's been 3 hours, and I really appreciate you being here, Leo, for this long and answering these questions. Of course, you as well, Ross, but I know that you need to get going. We're a little over your time, so I want you to ask for your forgiveness as I ask a couple more questions, if you don't mind. We're almost done. If flurfs are going to say that all scientists and governments lie because of financial reasons, should we just assume that Ross and Witsit lie in order to make money on YouTube? 1 minute.
I think Witsit has already made it clear that he's lost hundreds of thousands of dollars a year from doing this. Nobody makes, like I said, I didn't get into this so that way I can make money for being a good debater. I want to know what's really going on. I'm curious about the planet that I live on, guys. I know you don't care. You just want to see who looks dumb, right? Okay, well, I want to know what's going on. So I want to present the best information. Hopefully the best information can be presented back and we can come to some conclusion so that way we can actually get somewhere. I want to know the truth. That's it. I'm like, if you want to check out of the conversation, check out of the conversation. Go. Ignorance is bliss, right? Go be happy, living your life, doing what you want to do, being a slave.
Oh, all right. We'll leave the boot alone, everybody. Let's carry on. Hold on. I just refreshed the stream. My apologies. Let me get back into those super chats. We're almost to the end of the list, everybody. Thank you so much for your super chats. Maximiliano Avila says, if flurfs are going to say that all scientists and governments lie because of financial reasons... Oh, sorry, I already read that one. Boogie Boog says, Ross, the scientists all want to know the truth. Should they go to actual schools with rigorous studies and testings? They try to disprove each hypothesis. You're not against authority. You're against our earned knowledge?
Our earned knowledge. I don't think they should go to school. I believe in the field interaction. I believe in that. I think I get that math helps us with certain things, but I want to keep those two things separate because then they start getting convoluted and it's easy to trick people into believing things are scientific when they're not. This is the same problem I have with religion. This is why I don't like religion, because they try to tell you that, oh, look, we predicted this and then this happened. Okay, great. Even if you did predict that and that happened, that doesn't mean that your book is true. I don't believe it just because it's written down. I want to see it with my own eyes, please, if you don't mind.
All right. Let's keep going on. Boogie Boog, sorry I skipped the other super chat there. It's not going to be very helpful, but we do appreciate you. Conrad, Ross, can you disprove Alden's globe theory, though? We'll do 30 seconds, sorry.
I can prove that we're not living on the top of a globe. If the earth is a globe, we're living in the globe. And I promise I used to say this before I had ever heard of flat earth. The day that they tried to show me the video, I'm like, dude, don't even show me the video. I already know what it is. All right. We're literally I'm like, if they take pictures from the sky and it looks like a globe, we live on a plane. I used to say this before, like years ago. We live on a plane in the middle of the earth. We live in the earth, not on the earth. So if it is a globe, right, we don't live on goddamn top of it. What?
All right. Boogie Boog says, Marx wasn't predicting anything you don't understand. And he also says, Marxism isn't a prophecy, it's an economic model.
Who is that? Say his name again.
That's only partly true.
Huh?
All right, can you explain
Well,
there,
I mean,
Leo? If you
I'm a
don't mind.
Marxist. Marx did make predictions. He made predictions about how we can expect the capitalist mode of
Yeah,
production to evolve into the future,
that's all he did.
given the structure of the systems that we live under. Um, what was the other thing? Also, the labor theory of value and other features of Marxist economics are economic, but both historical materialism and dialectical materialism are not specifically economic.
Okay, and I appreciate Leo for correcting him because he tried to say that I was wrong about that. No, I was correct. I know what Marxism is, but whoever that was,
Yeah, he was technically correct.
yeah. Thank you, Leo. So whoever that guy was, though, whatever your name is, come see me on my channel after this if you want to debate some goddamn politics. Are you serious? Are you serious? And I pulled that definition out of my ass. I haven't read about Marxism in years. I just knew that. You understand? I dare you. I dare anybody that thinks that I'm wrong about anything that I said. Please come find me on my channel. I will gladly let you come on and embarrass yourself. I double dare you. I double dare you. About politics? Are you serious? Get out of here.
Well, beyond all the talking about the dual cheeks, let's move. Let's move into the. Yeah, I had to have surgery on my bum, right? My old one had a crack. That's an old Family Guy joke. Anybody who watched like old Family Guy, they'll be like, "Oh, Ryan robbed that." All right, so let's move into closings, guys. If you have any final thoughts, you started, so I'm gonna do it EU style. Ross, 1 minute on the floor. Your final thoughts.
All right. So, like I said, in my last debate, everybody said I didn't have any points, right? I started the whole thing off by making my points very clear. You know what my points are. The earth isn't moving. I showed 2 experiments. The earth is in the center. We cannot prove that. I showed observations, and I have hundreds of quotes from every physicist, alive and dead, that agree that all observation shows that we're in the middle. My other point was that the surface is not curved. So you only have 2 options. Either the earth is not curved or the earth is so big we can't detect it. Those are your only 2 options. The last thing, everything is electric. Everything, including the sun. This is the last point I want to leave on this, all right? Including the sun. This is an easy experiment that you can do to figure out, is the sun fire or is the sun electricity, right? One of these things is not like the other. Take a plant, put the plant outside in the sun. What is the plant going to do? It's going to grow. Take a plant, put it under an electric light. What will it do? It'll grow. Take a plant and put it next to fire. It will never grow in 1,000 years. The sun is not fire. All right. You guys have no idea what you're talking about. The sun is electricity, just like everything else. I love you guys. Good night. If you have a problem, come see me on my channel and get bodied. Shout out Witsit since y'all was hating on him all night.
Thank you so much, Ross. 1 minute on the clock, and thank you so much, Leo, for sticking around for the extra bit of time. I'm so sorry for keeping you late. 1 minute on the clock. Your closing thoughts.
So nobody thinks the sun is fire. It's plasma. It's a particular state of matter that you get when you superionize gas to the point that the nuclei and the electrons are no longer bound. But yeah, I didn't really hear anything that suggests that the Earth is spherical. I've just heard a lot of rejection of modern science and not really much to back it up. So I mean, I don't really have much to say. I'm going to go with the consensus of relevant experts, just like everybody does in their day-to-day lives when they go to the dentist when they have a sore tooth, or they go to the mechanic when there's something wrong with their car, or they go to an eye doctor if they need a new prescription for their glasses. We go to the people who fucking studied this stuff and went to school for it and are qualified and certified in this. But all of a sudden we shouldn't be when the physicists tell us that we're wrong on the thing that everybody knows we're wrong about. So yeah, I guess I'll just leave it there. I didn't really hear anything other than just about, a few points that were made that were easily refuted at least 3 or 4 times by me. So yeah, just keep learning, trust those who know what they're talking about and have the credentials to show it, and educate others.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We do appreciate you guys hanging out in live chat. There's still 600 people watching right now, so hit the like button if you haven't already. It only takes a second. I mean, what's going on? I mean, I've hit the like button with my nose before.
About the after show?
Oh, sure.
Just one thing about the after show. You should go to the after show on Matters Now. I will be there, but it will probably be a half an hour, 40 minutes before I get there because I have to run to the store real quick, but that shouldn't take me too long.
And come see me on Real Affinity if you got any issues. I'm gonna probably stream and watch this shit tomorrow. Big Bad Mama always comes when I do that and defends her in. So any of you guys that was in there hating, Ask Big Bad Mama about me. All right. I do not play around. I will body you.
All right.
Thank you, Ryan. I love you, man. You're a good guy.
Well, I appreciate both of you guys for having such a fun discussion. Ross, Leo, it's always a pleasure. We will see you guys next time and see what else we can get lined up for you fellas, because this has been a lot of fun. Once again, as I was saying, Ross is still so excited from having the debate. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Share this out in the spaces where you like to have these discussions. And definitely subscribe to Modern Day Debate. Like Leo said, he's going to be hanging out at the after show on Matters Now. Thank you to them for all their super chats. And I think this stream's going to automatically reroute there. So stay tuned, everybody. And we'll see you next time. Cheers.
Amazing.
Amazing. You had to. Yeah. Just about. I got to turn my mic off. See you, everybody.
What am I to do but tear away when I'm boiling at the top? Try to find a way to fight the fire, smart to rap from the minds of liars. Call the shots as you bow your heads and the march never stops. The stars could be free, but this insanity bends you right by the knee. Running in circles now for something that can't be found on a